All right, welcome to October. Rocktober, spooky season, pumpkin season, pumpkin spice latte season.
94-degree pumpkin.
Hey, how awesome is this weather? This is great.
It's not.
I thought I moved to Omaha, not
no,
Phoenix.
Fantastic.
This is terrible. I love the fall. I love
Not
my
terrible.
my 67 degrees and a little bit breezy. My 72.
I like it 2 degrees warmer.
Yeah.
Nope.
I don't like this 92.
This is great weather.
You're
I
coming into
can't-
my autumn.
Hey, but the autumn hadn't even started yet.
It's October.
We have not started fall around here.
Yes, we have. Like the
No.
seasons have. I'm pretty sure.
No, you gotta
change,
brother. You gotta understand. Things are so messed up with the climate that things are backwards. It doesn't snow anymore here.
Mhm.
It just gets cold.
The cold stays longer into spring,
yeah.
but starts
I mean,
later in fall.
And the spring kind of starts a little bit later. Oh, I know my climate.
Mhm.
Hey, I also know that if you want weather, like they call us weather weenies,
Sure.
that follow the weather, it's gonna be 91 at halftime on Saturday in Lincoln.
Crazy.
How great is that?
It's not great at all.
That is
It's
awesome.
hot.
Hey, I might,
You
know
don't get
what?
cooler. It's fine.
I might go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of sunscreen and sell it out of the back of my truck. I might be doing that on Saturday, like reduced sunscreen on the way to the game, instead of the guy that sells the T-shirt of FO FA or FAFO.
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
what you mean.
yeah.
I don't know.
Bad words. Yeah.
That got screwed up yesterday at a speech in Virginia, as well. I might be right next to that guy selling sunscreen. It's gonna be 91 at halftime.
I can just see
91 at halftime on the 4th of October. That's awesome. That's great.
I can just see you in front of the media entrance, where all the people with the signs are out in front and they're trying to get you to do some different things with their organizations. And you just see old Gary Sharp out there. $5.
No.
$5.
You know what? I think the people that praise Jesus out in front of Memorial Stadium have gotten harder. They've gotten hardened because they used to interact with people because, some people give them the business. Other people just take their hand out and they move on.
That's
Just
what I've done.
Just a word, like if you're going to take the handout, just walk a little bit further. Don't immediately throw it on the ground. Just don't take it then. Okay. But I've noticed that there has not been as much heckling back and forth because, like praising Jesus and be part of Jesus and Jesus loves the Huskers and Herbie is like Jesus and also get circumcised. All of that stuff that is right there in the little loop.
Something.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of causes. There's a lot of people going to the game. So you stand right there outside of the south. They would be the southwest gates area because a lot of people congregate there. And that's, you're either telling me that Jesus is going to save Nebraska, which
Waiting.
I believe that
if rule doesn't work out,
I believe that I follow the letter of the Christianity that would have happened a long time ago. Okay. So Jesus is going to save Nebraska.
Yeah.
And also, if you're running for like a mosquito board, you got a roster to hand out, which is very smart. Those are back. We're back. Or I'll be right there. You got to get sunscreen. I'll be selling sunscreen, but it's going to be 91 at halftime. Now, here's the big deal. Here's my. I'm stealing a little bit of thunder from our my weather guy Travis.
Go ahead.
Who's the weather guy of the show? Everybody's going, hey, is this going to be a passing affair? Is it going to be Dylan against the swag of AC
with 40-mile-an-hour southwest wind?
Yep. There is going to be 40-mile-an-hour south to southwest wind.
When it's in the 90s later into the fall, that usually means,
So
Really? Yes.
that will come into play in the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Kicking
bad
game.
news. That's
Well, it depends on, like the coin toss will be big, what end zone you choose, if you're going with or against the wind.
Mhm.
But 40-mile-an-hour winds are what are predicted on Saturday.
Run the damn ball.
What is the
Wear your
wind-
sunscreen and tighten up that hat
is there
and celebrate homecoming accordingly.
Take your allergy pill,
Is there a
too, for some of you.
particularly windy game that you've been to in the history
I don't know.
of
What,
Nebraska?
what kind of a question is
I
that?
was going to ask. I don't know.
Glad you asked, young man.
I don't know.
1994.
Wait. This is a totally fair question.
No,
It is. Wait.
It's windy every year
Because
here.
you both.
The wind blows in Nebraska.
I know. I'm aware.
Often.
But hear me out here.
One
Hear me out
direction
here.
or the other.
In the history of you going to football games at the University of Nebraska and just, Rain Man over here who knows so many different historical football games, you would think that in Nebraska's great history, in that stadium, for how long
Pose
they've
it for
been
our
there,
listeners.
I
don't.
You would think that there was like a wind
the wind
game.
blows. Ask me if Iowa State. You ever been to a game?
Always windy there.
Always windy.
Always
it's Nebraska.
cold.
The wind always blows.
But there's never been like a wind game, you know. There's never been like a
There's
oh my
multiple
god.
wind games.
there are
Yeah.
multiple wind games, like
Every
in
year.
November. Like
That
a
is
Class
true.
A final where I watched a guy who was at Oklahoma State throw darts through the wind and wonder, what does the team that normally plays in that stadium think about the guy that just walked in there in a windstorm and threw darts? Oh, I don't remember. I just know that it's the wind blows. Sometimes you suck. Sometimes it just blows.
Like Mega Maid.
That's how it happens. Yeah. Welcome to Wednesday, by the way, middle of the week. It's October.
Mike.
Do you have a win game?
Yeah, that was a great question. It was totally fair.
Has there ever been a game
you
where the
have a
sun's
rain
just been
game,
exceptionally
you have-
brighter than others? And
No, this is ridiculous.
maybe an
Yeah,
11:30
remember-
game?
ridiculous.
Do you remember any of the games where Nebraska were all red?
well,
This
yeah.
This you guys know what I'm getting at. There's been a rain game. There's been fog games. There's been, there's
Huskers
a
had a
game
fog game?
that we still talk
There-
about to this day that never even happened. That we look back upon and say, what if that game actually happened? You don't think there was a game that had 60-mile-an-hour winds where it was like impossible to throw the ball?
Yeah, that's played in November in the stadium.
Mhm.
That is a good point. It is
Layer up.
valid.
Yeah. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Sunscreen for all on Saturday
Too bad the pools are
for
closed.
Nebraska and Michigan State. Isn't the last time? Hold on here. Let me think. Last time Michigan State was here, it was not going to be 90 at halftime.
No,
No.
God, it was the
No.
opposite.
It had been cold. It
No,
had been
cooler.
cold on that day. But you know what? This is where the rule play comes into hand, is switching sidelines. Michigan State's going to bake.
Mhm.
They're going to bake.
They need the sun.
They would be buying my sunscreen. I'm telling you that.
I think they got plenty stocked up. I don't think they're going to be rolling into Memorial Stadium being like, Jonathan, quick.
Have they not been here since the snow game?
I think that's correct.
Wow. A long time ago.
Well, because Nebraska's made a couple of trips up there.
Yeah.
Well,
Always gray there.
Yeah, the
when they
last two
go there.
games- the last-
Gray and
I like night games in East Lansing.
They-
you know what? I'm okay with East Lansing. It feels like a Big Ten campus and a Big Ten stadium.
I
Nothing
got you.
real fancy about it. But Nebraska's played more often than not night games up there, which I don't know. Games between Nebraska and Michigan State are a little bit crazy.
They are. They're
I think a
weird.
lot of people hoping that Saturday is not crazy.
The
Well,
last
crazy good.
the
Crazy
last
good.
three have been very weird.
Oh, the last 5 have been decided by single points.
broken jaws and yeah.
Oh, there's
I
no.
forgot
It's,
about
if
the
you
broken
really no
jaw.
seriously, if you think about it, like Nebraska, Michigan State always produces like a weird
Mhm.
nugget of a punt that went the wrong way.
Or a team that
know.
won the game that didn't have a first down in the second half.
Guy being out of bounds that was ruled inbounds. And Nebraska beat a really, really good Michigan State team in 2015. Or a good Michigan State team rolls in here with Kirk Cousins at quarterback. No, he was he a quarterback when they beat him in 11? Michigan State was highly
I
ranked.
think so.
And
actually.
Burkhead ran like
Yeah.
nearly 40 times in that game. So Michigan State, Nebraska always
Yes,
produces like a
remember
little
that.
bit of a. Maybe it'll produce a Dylan 5-6 touchdown passing day.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
Maybe that'll be the case. All right, coming up on the show this morning, we're going to drink
All
That's it.
right.
at 8:00. Whiskey Fest is on Saturday. Happened to be there last year. We hosted Big Red Overreaction. Fantastic.
Yeah, you said the people watching was terrific and the interaction.
They
and
took care of us. We had our own room. We had
Oh.
it packed. We had I was in my element. I brought a
oh yeah, I know.
I brought a Celtic band on air.
It was like an extension of the College
Hey,
World Series.
it was the
Village.
Nebraska Purdue game, and you know what? Nebraska won. I only
Okay.
want to talk about garbage that went on in West Lafayette. Okay, so I was like, you know what? Let's have a little flair. So yeah, we had the band on. It was pretty cool. So we will Whiskey Fest is Saturday downtown. So the folks from Whiskey Fest are going to come and they're going to make us drink. So we'll do that coming up
Hell
at 8:00. Jay Moore stops by at 8:30 with his thought through 4 and what's ahead for Michigan State. John Walker in at 9. We are 33 days away from the start of the college basketball season. And then Brandon Vogel at 9:40. That's the lineup brought to you by the Roof Freeze at John Higgins Weather Guard. There'll also be more baseball today. Baseball is good. You know what we have?
What do we have?
We have October baseball at Wrigley Field. We have October baseball at Wrigley Field.
But I don't know how I feel about that because I
How
kind
do
of
you
want
feel about that?
I want it to stay September, so Seiya keeps hitting bombs, so I can keep tweeting out it's Seiya September.
But the sign said Seiya in October.
Yeah,
It just connects to
But he's in-
October and he
But it's Seiya
continues.
June is turned into Seiya September. Two shots.
Hmm.
Looked great yesterday.
He
Hell
did.
of a home.
Well, they did what they needed to do against Pavetta, and the bullpen was lights out. 4 2/3, 14 up, 14 down. Valencia looked good.
Yeah.
Now they're gonna have an opener to start game 2 against Dylan Cease. But the Cubs won yesterday. 2 up, 2 down. The 2 home teams won, 2 road teams won. The favorites won 3 of 4. And we had just incredible pitching performances, whether it be in Detroit or Boston, or with Detroit or with Boston, both winning on the road. And I almost texted you late last night.
Why do you always almost text me? I'm a little like
Because I don't know your schedule. I don't want to interrupt anything.
Might be
This has
asleep.
become a
date.
theme where you've
No,
said about 2-3
I don't know
times a
your
week.
sleep schedule.
I almost texted you Saturday, but I'm like, no, he's
You guys
got-
are almost always
has a
texting me.
life.
How about you text me? I'm lonely.
I figured you were having
I want people to talk
the best
to.
time watching the cats.
Because here's the thing. That's just why I didn't text you.
Why didn't you text
Because you
me?
would text me back, and then it would be a text conversation. And I just wanted to get in, get out. Okay. Okay. I don't want to have a ground arsenal. I just want to fly in and shoot and boom and move on. Make a comment. Boom. I don't want like major interaction. And then it's the awkwardness of how do you end a text conversation? I just wanted to.
Well, see
just-
it work
I
tomorrow.
just
know
wanted
what?
to pose a question to you after what I was watching in L.A. last night.
Well, here's the funny thing. There have been 2 times or a couple of times where you have texted me and I've crafted like responses or like, hey, I'm
I
gonna
see
start
the
a
little bubble
combo,
going.
and then I just delete it all. I go,
Okay.
nah, probably best if I don't say anything, and I just go away, and then we talk about it in the morning.
Yeah, you know what?
So I've learned how to texting with you is incredibly peculiar. It is.
I actually appreciate
It's
it.
very peculiar how to communicate with you.
I almost sent you a fist pump after
know
the
what?
game yesterday.
Because
With
there
just
are
a
certain
fist bump.
things.
That's it.
Hey.
If I send you a sport take, I know in the back of your head you're like, kid, leave it for the show. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But if I send you a text about like food or like some very like weird thing that happened on Twitter, I will get an immediate like bang. Like if I asked you, I texted you yesterday about Des Moines. It was the quickest you've ever texted me in life.
Because I was in the middle of another texting conversation. So yeah, no, you did.
You know?
You're like, you come to the right place. Let me tell you about Des Moines.
Let me tell you about Des Moines, Iowa, young man. So what did you almost text me about?
Oh, I was just going to ask, will I ever convince you that Shohei is the GOAT?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
I think that was fair. No, you're
Like-
that's a fair answer.
Like,
I feel like I have to ask that after he goes
Yard.
yard twice, and one of them
He hit another one?
I hit 2.
I
And
saw the
the first one
First
was
one was
117 off the bat.
First one was
So I feel like every time he does something, I should ask you if you will ever get to the point where I can say, do you think Shohei is the GOAT? And you'll go, yes.
my goat
That's
might
what I was going to text you last night when he hit his second one.
my goat might end up being the Los Angeles Angels manager,
Ron Karkovice?
Albert Pujols.
Well, it used to be Ron Washington until yesterday.
Yes.
And he kind of got shoved out the door.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if Albert Pujols would make a good manager.
See,
I think Torrey Hunter would make a good manager, and the Twins would like to talk to him, but he's currently on the Angels payroll.
so Albert Pujols not being a good manager, in your opinion, or potentially not being a good manager, is it just because it would turn into like a Magic Johnson situation, or like if Messi tried to coach people where he would just be like, "Why don't you hit the ball farther?"
Does he want that?
I read a report that says that he wants to be a manager and that he is in contention, and he's already being paid from his deferred money on the Angels payroll right now. So
That's
I
the way
guess,
to save some.
yeah, I guess I don't know, that's advantageous to the Angels if they were to deal with that or whatever. So that's just what I read.
A huge commitment as a manager of a major league team. I know he goes to spring training and is an instructor. I know he helps out the Cardinals. That'd be awkward.
I just think he's incredible. And I think it'd be cool if he was back in baseball in the spotlight being a manager. But I don't really know if I don't really know the shots of whether or not Albert Pujols would end up being a good manager. I agree with you. Torrey Hunter, was a very crafty baseball player when in his prime, so he'd probably be a pretty good manager. I don't know, but I think it'd be great if Albert was back because I loved Albert, even though he played for my least favorite team.
Good. Brad writes in. Okay, this was a question. I had forgotten about this. Last year's Rutgers game. He goes, didn't Shiano say he's never seen a wind like that?
It was windy. There you go, Matt. The Rutgers game, 24.
That'd be one. I guess it didn't stand out to me. There are other things in that game. The Rutgers game last year was windy.
I'm still laughing at
And Nebraska won that game. So
I'm still laughing at your reaction to my original question. It was a good.
see, this is when it comes to Nebraska football. You remember like the warmest games, like
Buffalo,
the hot game in the late '90s, or even recently, or you remember like the really really cold games or weather impacted 90 Colorado, 18 Akron. Those I don't necessarily know that I remember wind games, just from the standpoint of. I just think it always blows wind around here. We always start road projects at the same time.
That is true.
And the wind always blows here. That's why Nebraska is not for everyone, but we're very, very nice because we apologize that we have all these road projects and a streetcar that is putting businesses out of business. And we apologize. We go, oh, but at the end, like in 3 years, it'll be really, really cool.
Like the Crossroads deal.
Like, yeah. So all of those things. So yes, Brad. Shiano did say he'd never seen a win like that.
Can I apply for my ball knower card?
Don't you already have one?
No, for football I do. I have a football ball.
Oh, what sport is this?
Can I apply for it?
Oh, yeah, let's go.
Can I because you hold like you ever see The Last Airbender?
I didn't.
I've seen Airbud.
No. Like you have all the ball knower. Like you gotta get wind, earth, water, and fire.
Oh,
right?
Fifth Element.
Hell yes. To have all four elements. You have all four cards.
I've been in school a long time, but I do remember that touch, feel, sound, all that stuff.
Big bada
No,
boom.
that's not.
It's not.
No. This is a anime. This is like a.
Oh, I'm not into anime.
Well,
I only deal with real life stuff.
It was okay.
Like y'all that deal with this fake stuff and have like relationship stuff. I had my imaginary friend when I was a little kid. Okay, I don't need like imaginary stuff.
Do you like?
I go with real. I like real.
You go to movies.
I don't go to anime movies.
Okay, but you go to movies that are
that.
fictitious. You watch Tulsa King. Do you think Sylvester Stallone is actually
Tulsa
in
King in
Oklahoma?
anime?
Is actually in Oklahoma being a boss and like
they
dictating
film it
people?
there?
Do you think Billy Bob Thornton actually is running some oil rigs out in Texas?
Yes.
I could see that.
Landman, by the way, the trailer for the second season comes out in November, drops today. Be prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think there is a possibility that somebody that is like Tulsa King exists. I may or may not have taken an Uber to go see some of the sites where the show is shot when I was last in Tulsa.
Jeez.
I love the
There's
show.
not a lot to do.
Yeah, it's
I
off
don't
to
blame you.
Tulsa King definitely.
It's off to a start this year. Okay, but on that note.
Okay, my card.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So it's the fifth inning. Okay.
Of what game?
Of yesterday's Cubs game.
Okay.
Okay. And Nick Pivetta threw 2 fastballs in the inside to Seiya Suzuki.
Okay.
And they were both up in the zone.
Okay.
And I said to myself, like, oh, he's losing his fastball. Like he's losing it. And you could tell on the mound that he was frustrated that he was losing his fastball. So he overcorrected and he tried throwing it lower. Then he ended up throwing it middle inside, say he hits his home run, right? I text in a group chat, Pivetta's losing his fastball right now. Not good. Okay. I can show you this text. Then Carson Kelly is about 4 pitches in to his at bat. And Pivetta is spraying like the zone with
He lost his 4-seamer.
Just really crappy fastballs. I text in a group chat. They might hit another one here. Next pitch, Pivetta throws at Carson Kelly, hits a home run.
Did you flex on your friends?
I
hope so.
We can text the voice of Oral Roberts Eagles because he got it.
He might be asleep.
Out. No, he was. He called me a genius. So can I get my ball knower card, please?
Sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Congratulations.
Thank you.
But you've lost it because you will not give in to Ohtani as the GOAT.
Yes, not yet. I keep saying not yet.
Okay. I'm going to ask you every time he does something.
That's going to be a really annoying.
He's going to get up in a little bit and start his conditioning for today's game. So I'll ask you in a bit. Yes. So I went back and looked at this about Shiano. Quote, I've been doing this 37 years. I have not been in conditions like we're today. Usually if you have a wind like that, where'd this go? Oh, usually if you have a wind like that, it's a storm, some kind of hurricane, tropical storm. Which I don't believe that we've ever had a hurricane or a tropical storm in Nebraska.
Not yet, but if
I
one
could be
forms
wrong.
over Zarinsky,
I'm wrong about a lot of things. I don't believe so. Not in my lifetime of living in Nebraska.
But you just told me that, like, the climate, it's all over the place, that we don't know what's going to happen.
that's why not yet.
Be careful talking about the climate. Okay, so now I've gone back
dailies?
here. Brad, thank you very much for this, because this could be, ironically, just like last year. That Rutgers-Nebraska game was on the first Saturday in October. What is the first Saturday in October this year?
The Michigan State game.
Yeah. It was 97 at kickoff.
Jeez.
Yes. 97 at kickoff last year for the Rutgers game. It'll be 89 with a southwest wind at 40 miles an hour.
So it'll be cooler. Okay.
Hey, Archie Wilson. Fake punt. Fake punt. But I will tell you this. I think people would lose their mind if that game was 14-7, just like last year's Nebraska-Rutgers game.
Probably.
Yeah, especially since Nebraska didn't score in the second half.
That was an ugly game.
Yeah.
That was really ugly.
And somehow, with 4 minutes to go, it became a one-score game.
Isn't it? Now, I'm just speaking on my behalf, but I don't know why I forget the games that Nebraska wins.
Whoa. Well,
This would be a podcast.
You were
in
at the
itself.
first one this year.
Yeah, no, but what I mean by that is
that wasn't very long ago.
It's like when Nebraska loses.
They actually won like a couple of weeks ago.
I know, but
and then
listen,
they won the week before that.
But hear me out.
And the week before that,
when
I'm worried
Nebraska
about memory.
loses, I can tell you like exact plays and exact moments and just weird like I'll be like, do you remember like with 3.5 minutes left in the third quarter, right? But when Nebraska wins,
No, I got you. I
when
know
Nebraska
what you mean.
wins the football game, it's almost as if you're happy and you celebrate it, and then you just wipe it.
I think
just
that's
like, all right, they did it.
I think
they
that's
won,
within
they're
every
moving on.
fan. Like your favorite teams, you sometimes, unless your team wins championships, you have a tendency to remember the bad times more than the good times. Do we remember what Dylan did in that game in those conditions?
I think he struggled in the first half and then ended up having a pretty good third quarter, right? No, I don't remember. I really don't remember.
He really struggled.
Yeah.
He was 13-27, 134 yards.
Didn't he have I think he had a quick start in that game. I'm almost positive.
Oh, they were up 14-0.
I think he had a pretty quick start in that one. And then he had it. But like I told you, I just kind of like the Purdue game. The only thing I remember about the Purdue game is the fact that Ja'Cory Barney kept getting stuff on the end arounds. Nothing good. I don't really remember. Like, I'm pretty sure Gifford had a pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see here. Yes, I'm just looking at the box score. Buschini struggled. He had because the 2 punts were blocked. Yeah.
Yes.
So Raiola in the second half of that game was 2 of 9 for 14 yards, and Nebraska couldn't run the ball. And also, I do recall they were starting to get to him and sack him. So a year later on the same weekend, similar weather conditions. And we're talking about Dylan possibly throwing 5 to 6 touchdown passes against the Michigan State pass defense. Welcome. We've aged well. All right. You have the lineup for the show. Again, that's brought to you by the Rooferys of John Higgins Weather Guard, Nebraska, Michigan State. Nebraska is still a pretty healthy favorite. Either you're comfortable with that or you're like, yeah. Whatever you may
A
fall.
horse-like sound.
Well, some people are like,
That
that line feels right. And then in the same breath, you go, ooh, that's a lot of points. Because I would love to retire this phrase, and this is more of a Nebraska thing. You should win. We should retire that. Send that to the glue farm. What should
Speaking
win?
of horses.
Should win. Well, Nebraska should win, but maybe they won't cover.
Do you not like winnable game?
Has Nebraska gotten their winnable game card?
No.
Winnable and should win are different. Like if you look at it from the outset and you go, that's a winnable game just because of the matchup.
Yeah.
But should win.
That's different. Yeah.
Should win is different. Maybe we put that on pause for a bit. And I'm not saying that they're in trouble in this game because I've already said my Monday gut was 34-21. I may have added a safety to Michigan State
Nice.
to make it 34-23.
Still cover.
But 11 and a half point favorite. like outright, you should win that. If you're 11.5, if you're over a touchdown and a field goal favorite, you should win.
Oh, it's 10.5. Did it go up?
It went up.
Oh, then that's safe.
It's actually one of the biggest movers on Circus sports boards.
Yeah,
on Circus,
that and what, Boise State, Notre Dame?
yes,
Which is kind of a sneaky game, but Notre Dame's going to try and run it up on everybody.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, by the way, will be the uncomfortable conversation at the end of the year if they don't lose again, of looking at their resume and discussing if they should be in the playoff or not.
and then you know that the Alabama fans will probably end up freaking out, and the SEC will end up freaking out if they get in as 10-2 with 2 quote unquote quality losses to really good teams.
Well, you know what? Don't lose to bad teams. There you go. That's my bit of advice for everybody out there today. Whether you're going to work, you're going to school, you're going to play, don't lose to bad teams.
That's Uncle
Okay?
Gary.
It'll
Great
make your
advice.
life so much better if you don't lose to bad teams.
I'll add that to my wall. Of
No.
I have a wall of Gary Sharp sayings. Do yourself before you do others. Don't
Yes.
lose to bad teams.
Yes.
Don't embarrass us.
Don't apologize for winning.
Yeah, that's
Never
another one.
apologize for
Those
winning.
are the 4. We need probably
Yeah.
2 more. Hey, I was going to the FanDuel Sportsbook because I was like, maybe I should go to Iowa and place a bet during
course
one of
you
our
should.
breaks because,
That's the Des Moines
well,
question.
here's the thing though, because you said there's 40 and a half mile an hour winds now. And immediately I'm thinking, I'm like, all right, I got to bet this under, 52 and a
Yeah.
half. It's moved down to 48 and a half.
Okay. Vegas is consulting with the weather folks.
Hmm.
That's my takeaway here.
That is the takeaway.
Yeah. But it's going to be windy. So prepare accordingly. Like maybe not wear a straw hat.
Take your Flonase.
If you're going to wear if you're going to wear a snapback, how many? I got 3 open.
You have
Yeah.
3 open?
I got a head full of knowledge. It's a
I
big
have-
one. I got a large head.
I have 1 open.
All right, 35 past the hour. We are off and running. Good show this morning. Lots to discuss. We will talk about the Cubs. There's also an anniversary that involves Wrigley Field, where there'll be baseball today.
Is it the game 1 of San Francisco in 2016?
No.
That might be
No.
my favorite,
No.
one of my favorite Cub playoff games.
Now you made me
Bias-
think of Will
bias
Clark and
hits a
Mark Grace,
homer
which is a different
Right
one.
into
Mine-
the wind.
Mine might have been Game 7 in Cleveland in 16.
Well, okay.
But I am not one to say.
I said one of. One of.
I think anytime they win in a playoff game, is one of mine.
See, this is I did grow up in Chicago, but I have known less. Yeah, no, because I have to use that as a qualifier. I have to use that as a qualifier now to claim that I'm a Cubs fan.
I'm a huge fan of Chicago. I'm glad that you grew up there.
You never know if new people are listening. All I'm just trying to
Matt
say,
is from Chicago.
all I'm trying to say
People forget.
is that it's just I haven't had a playoff team in 4 years. Okay, I have not had one team that made the playoff in 4 whole years. It was awesome.
Or baby.
We might have one. We might have one. But game 2 is today. 4 games today. You know what? Teams that are 1-0 have a chance to close out the series. Put that on ESPN. Great baseball coverage. All right.
It wasn't that good. It was not good. at
Feel
all.
bad for Sean McDonough.
He was.
I just
great.
pretended it was on CBS, the old days.
Yeah. They had some little audio issues last night in the
Yeah.
Bronx. But that's ESPN, and when it comes to baseball, that's why the main baseball will be on NBC, where they will make it special, whoever's announcing and how they present it.
Chris
Sean McDonough, God, why isn't Sean McDonough sliding up? All right, quick break. We'll come back with more on a Wednesday morning to kick off October. What will October bring? 4-0, 3-1, 2-2, 1-3, 0-4.
God, I hope not.
Have to go on paternity leave again if that happens.
Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, coming up a little bit later this morning, Whiskey Fest is this weekend downtown, so you can learn more about Whiskey Fest, and the great folks that put it on will be in studio. It has now become a yearly thing that we drink whiskey and we talk about whiskey, and you see the reaction of whiskey hitting you at 8 a.m. in the morning. So
Tough
that's coming up here in a little bit. Jay Moore, John Walker, and Brandon Vogel will join us. Whenever I say John Walker, I'm always thinking Nebraska soccer. We'll talk ball with John Walker.
Whiskey Walker, which is funny enough that he's on the same.
Why
day
is
that-
he? You call him that all the
Yeah,
time.
I'm trying to remember.
Why,
You
why do you
said
call
Because
him
it's
that?
like the Johnny Walker whiskey.
Oh, I thought there was something else.
I didn't know if he was a whiskey drinker.
He drinks. He's not a specific guy.
You've shared spirits with him.
I have.
Yeah.
We went to an Omaha game together. Omaha Maverick basketball.
Look
game.
at that.
Yeah, I know.
I think John might also be the beat writer for Omaha men's basketball this year.
Really? That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
they're in search of. They do not have anybody covering Omaha athletics.
We went to the DJs in Exarban, and I
Yeah.
think he had one. I think they had a margarita special, and he wasn't doing anything the next day, and so he indulged. And
Yeah.
then there were other media members too, all across. From
Oh,
the
that's
Lincoln
right.
Journal
I
Star,
remember
the
that game.
OWH.
Remember that game.
I don't know where he wrote, but he was here. He was around.
Yeah. I submitted my ballot for the Summit League preseason yesterday.
Okay. Omaha won.
Yes.
St. Tom-
I think Omaha will be the preseason favorite in the league. I
I
think
saw.
it'll go Omaha, St. Thomas, South Dakota State, North Dakota State, and then after that, there's a lot of unknown in this league. But I think Omaha, for the first time ever, will be the preseason favorite
That'd
in
be
the league.
incredible. I saw a mid-major preseason top 25.
Yep.
Now, granted, this isn't from like a heralded source or anything. It was just a graphic I saw on Twitter from like a mid-major account. Omaha not on there, but St. Thomas was 13th.
Yeah.
according
There'll
to
be
their preseason
there'll be a
poll.
lot of love for St. Thomas because this is their first year they're eligible to make the tournament. They lost some key players. They're either going to be one or two, so it's not like I'm disagreeing with that.
Sure.
But they have some question marks.
Was
But Nick Jankowski will be interesting to see how he plays at St. Thomas.
I know-
Former Nebraska sharpshooter who been nice if he would have hit the floor, but it happens.
hell of a trade because Nebraska got a St. Thomas guy technically back in that.
Yeah, I think people need to kind of slow their roll on Kendall Blue.
Okay.
Kendall Blue should not be the first option for Nebraska.
Okay.
He's a nice piece,
Yeah.
but
I'm taking your word for it because I know that you saw him play. And
it's a good
have
pickup.
knowledge of him.
But there's part of his game that I did not know how it's going to transition to the Big Ten with the
Sure.
way if Nebraska finds a facilitator with the basketball and it's not Rink Mast, then I think Kendall Blue will be okay. I just don't know. He wasn't prone to put the ball on the floor and drive to the bucket all the time in the Summer League where he had an advantage. His mid-range jump shot though could be a thing.
I watched,
But it's a good pickup. I would not have him as your number one guy.
I watched his tape, and we talked about this like all the way back in April. And if I'm not mistaken, you made a really good point where I did think he could put the ball, at least his highlights, he was able to put the ball on the floor, and he was able to finish really well around the basket.
Well, they ran an offense. The offense at St. Thomas is really good. Spreads you out, and they've always had a good point guard that drives and kicks. And they spread the floor. I just the difference on the wings will be an adjustment.
Well, that and the point that you brought up that which I've kind of held with me, which is when we talk about him, I kind of do hold back too, is the bigs in the Summit League compared to the bigs in the Big Ten that you're going to be going up against in the paint could not be more night and day.
I think people will be surprised by his defense. I think he'll make a nice adjustment playing defense. He's got some length. But we'll see. The Summit League will be very interesting this year. There's a lot of great unknowns. One unknown that if you have some money and you'd like to invest in a project that I think would be well watched, maybe a student at Tennessee, maybe somebody at ESPN. We are going to have a documentary on Nico, right?
Yes.
Okay, there's going to be a documentary we will watch, and we will also just be amazed at how arrogant his dad is in all of this, because now we are to a point with UCLA And who knows what UCLA will look like when Nebraska plays out there on the 8th of November. I mean,
Oh God.
they may, it may just be, hey, it's the Bruin mascot. But so they're 0-4. They have fired their head coach. Now their OC is gone, which he went there because of the offense, right?
Yes.
And his brother left Arkansas to go to UCLA. That seems like such a wise move. That is smart. You know what? When you got an arrogant father that just takes over everything and doesn't take a step back and take a deep breath and he chases money, you know what? You deserve to get that. So I can't wait to watch this documentary, and a really sad tale, because I think when you get the kid away from dad and he does interviews, he seems very, very bright and understanding, but he's let his dad take over his life and his football life. And I wonder how that's going. Wonder how that's going there in Westwood. Can't wait to see you on November 8th.
His dad, who was in Memorial Stadium not too long ago, 2 months ago for the Bash at the Boneyard, he was one of the 7-on-7 coaches. He was he's a big guy. He's a pretty, like, he's an intimidating dude. He walks like with that strut and with that, like, we're trying to accomplish something, and takes some things. He was taking the 7-on-7 incredibly seriously, like a little bit too seriously. Like, we don't have money on the line.
Yeah, but that world, that's the AAU basketball world where, But when your dad is arrogant and puts your son in a situation, maybe it comes back to there's karma involved, because he doesn't have the OC, he doesn't have the head coach. And I go back to, I wrote this down when I was reading this yesterday. He talked about the UCLA scheme is why they were attracted to it. You know what? This would be a whole bunch better situation. Instead of just blowing smoke, so that you're like, oh my gosh, I can't see. Just say, we went to UCLA because they had more money. Just say that, and we'd be like, okay. And I'm glad you got paid, but how's that experience?
What if I told you money doesn't solve all the problems? What if I told you a 5-star leaving was the greatest thing ever to happen to Josh Heupel?
There's gonna be a film student at Tennessee, and I imagine they have a film school, because there's a lot of movies that are shot in Knoxville. That'll do a documentary on this, and people at Tennessee will eat this up, and I think people in college football will eat this up as well.
Trade will be an incredible 30 for 30.
Yeah. Also, as the UCLA game is a ways away, it's over a month away.
That's crazy.
Then Nebraska will have their next bye after that game, so they have the run of the gauntlet. So listen to the coordinators yesterday in Lincoln, Dana and John, which we became a meme yesterday.
Who?
There's a great facial expression from John Butler.
Okay.
Nebraska has to have the 3 most unique coordinators in all of college football. High-level thinkers. They have very different kind of backgrounds, but they've gained a lot of knowledge along the way. But they're all just kind of different how they approach football. And it's kind of refreshing. Instead of being the buttoned up, oh, here we go, same old, we get personality. And Nebraska has 3 coordinators that have personality. So John Butler had a reaction yesterday that people, you have to, if you know,
I was listening to him. I wasn't watching.
But just going back to Rule,
And
I said yesterday that it's almost like, you know what, just get Saturday here. Okay, I'm here. I got to do this. I'm going to be very cordial. We have a good relationship, but I don't want to be here. Okay, I just want to get it over with. I'm going to play on Saturday, and then we can talk about the game on Saturday. Okay, we've talked enough about Michigan. And then both coordinators spoke yesterday, and they were kind of the same way as, we got to get to Michigan State.
Dana for sure.
A little bit of humble pie, I think, has been delivered in Lincoln. I think just a reality check 4 games into 2025 is what I take away from the head coach and 2 coordinators speaking.
I think with the head coach, yes. I really do. Because that's what, when you go ahead and you have 38-minute press conferences on Mondays leading up to your big game, leading up to your big moment, and then as soon as you lose, you have an 18-minute press conference where you kind of exude those emotions.
Now, I asked about that. I was told that he'd already addressed Michigan the week before.
Yeah.
So there was no real Michigan talk. So that's why it was a little bit shorter. But I said he just kind of What am I gonna tell you? We're gonna play Michigan State. Let's just get to a game so you can see all this stuff we're talking about. I don't want to talk anymore. Let's just play football.
I mean the point. I think the point though still is the same in terms of yes, absolutely. By way the way that he. I mean, they were very confident heading into that game. They were incredibly confident.
They got handed a little reality check from a program that's been doing it longer, where they want to be, and I just think the physicality thing rubs some people the wrong way. Of we can lose because you have more talent.
Oh, sure.
We can lose because you schemed us, but we lost because at times we got beat up, and I think that's when you're this far down the road and you're trying to build.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where it goes. Okay. All right.
Well,
and Dana had the great line of, what was it? They show you what it looks like. That's what Michigan's been in it longer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nebraska wants to be there. You got a reality check on the fourth game of the season.
I just think that the physical, they went into that game and they didn't think that they were going to get bullied by the defensive line. They thought that they had that Michigan was not as good in the defensive line, that they weren't going to be able to bully them, that they weren't able to get to the quarterback. There was at least one person I talked to who thought that they were going to have an advantage up on the line and that they got dominated. And then they even said it, Rule said at one point that they thought they were going to return a touchdown, on special teams. Like they thought they had this massive, massive special teams advantage, and it ended up that Michigan ended up beating them in the special teams.
Yeah, so you get a little reality check, and you see how you deal with it, and you know what you have to fix because you already played a really, really good team. And I mean, if you probably had to do it all over again, you would move the schedule around, and Cincinnati would sit closer to Michigan. But it is what it is. You played Cincinnati to begin the year. Just you're 4 games in, and you just got reminded of where you're currently at. And there's a lot of areas where they're so much better than they were a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
But in the sport of football, when you go toe to toe and you got beat up in certain areas where that was the default of why you lost the game, I don't think that's very well. So I think we have humble pie. Okay, this is where we are, but this is where we can't be. I think definitely we're going to find out in the month of October, of course, the entire season, but I think in the month of October is who Nebraska is.
I think
which is okay. It's okay. Sometimes you need that reminder.
Well, I just think it stings for everybody when you think that you're ready to take a step and then you completely fail to take that step.
Yeah, well, I think they know they've taken the step with talent and and the people they have in headsets. It's the physical part of it. It's that's the reality where you go, God dang it.
And it's funny though that is what they might be hung up over and like what might hurt.
Oh, I think they are. I mean, everybody is referencing it.
Well,
they're not like, hey, you know what? Michigan ran this and this. Sure. They'll say that, but it comes back to we get they were a little bit more physical. They're a little bit more tougher than us.
Well, John Butler being like we couldn't disengage in blocks, I think just goes to show you that tenfold. Yeah. But that is I think what stings them even more is that they are very proud about their training programs, and they're very proud and they love Corey Campbell, and they talk about Corey Campbell, and they talk about the nutrition, and they talk about how they can develop these guys and make them stronger. And yet they still go out and they still get bullied by teams that have been bullying them.
Yeah. I mean, that's Michigan. Does Nebraska have a Michigan problem, or do they have a problem, period? I think they have a Michigan problem. They're not on in that category. They're not on Michigan's level. They're not on Ohio State's level.
No.
There at times have not been on Iowa's level.
There are times they haven't been on Minnesota's level.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's around the corner, and that's what Minnesota's been known for is, physically they have been able to win those matchups against Nebraska. All right, more on the matchup coming up on Saturday. I just saw Rusty Lord on Channel 6. He's got the wind in Lincoln at 45 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
This could be the wind game. Here it is.
There you go.
This is it for you. This is the one where you go back.
This would be a game where you would hand it off to what animal did you have yesterday?
Clydesdale.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're going to have to hand it off.
I don't know who's bringing him
to
down.
Multiple guys on Saturday. That's why the total went down 4 points off of a weather report. I still might bet the under.
All right. Hour number 2 is coming up next on 1620 The Zone. All right, straight up 7 o'clock on a Wednesday, the start of October. What will October bring?
A Cubs series victory.
A cold front. That's what you wanted.
Well, yeah. I want
They'll come.
windy. I want windy Wrigley. Do we know what the wind's going to be like in Wrigley today? Is it going to be blowing in?
The chances are yes.
Okay, great. I know it's
The
always
chances
blowing
are it could be blowing out. The wind changes, but more than likely it blows in.
One or the other.
But
It'll
there
happen.
will be a buzz. There will be a buzz at Wrigley Field today, like there was back in 1932. Remember this?
in. No,
We were there.
I don't remember
zone was
anything in
there.
2005.
Or before 2020.
That is, okay, a ridiculous statement.
I remember 2005.
I am well versed in 2010 sports. I reference it all the time.
Jimmy, verdict?
Jimmy,
It
come
depends.
on.
What are we
Yeah.
talking about?
All right. So I wasn't at this game either.
If we're talking Bears, I'm with him.
If we're talking any sport,
I'll back him up on the Bears.
Yeah.
And maybe the Hawks, because the Hawks were.
Bears on
the Hawks
point.
were kicking ass
Bears on
back then.
point. Especially when they move into the Allegiant Stadium in Chicago.
NFL football,
Or Allegiant Kansas
Whoa,
City,
whoa, wait,
Allegiant
wait, wait,
Cleveland.
wait.
No, the Bears.
Allegiant,
The renderings yesterday, that looks exactly like the
It's
stadium
okay.
they just played in.
That's
Sterile,
okay. That's
soulless
totally fine.
football.
Do you know what they just played in? A state-of-the-art, beautiful facility that has a dome over it.
But it looks
that
exactly the same.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
It's the new cookie
concourses
cutters.
are bigger than the current. Where the current field right now. Like you can actually go to the bathroom and not have to wait in line. You can actually park.
No, I didn't see any parking.
No, they're going to put parking. They better put parking. If they don't put parking, then I'm going to be very pissed.
Like the renderings, like the outside,
I saw the outside renderings.
they didn't have a lot of cars parking.
It looked like a cold, sterile museum.
I mean, let me.
No, I mean it's hey, Legion, the Roomba is pretty cool. It just is like
But the
didn't
Bears.
didn't the Bears just play in that stadium?
Monsters of the Midway.
It is okay.
Football
It's a
weather.
great stadium.
Bear
yeah,
weather.
look how sick this is.
No, I like it because I like
It's
the Roomba.
dope. I like how it just says stadium though. It doesn't.
Well,
They should call it that.
so when you do those, because you're presenting them to companies for naming rights,
Yeah, I think that
because it won't be called Soldier Field.
Jewel Osco needs to come in. That's Jewel Osco is Nebraska's like high V, if you will. Or
Right.
sorry,
Yeah, yeah.
Illinois' high
Commercial,
V.
yeah.
Jewel Osco needs to come in.
Our
Maybe-
company has its own stadium in Houston.
Naming rights on a stadium?
Yes, the Jewel Osco Field.
At
You don't
Dick
think that'd
Duran
be dope?
Field at
That'd be
Jewel Osco
incredible.
Stadium.
Do they have enough money? Because this is going to be high dollar.
No, well, they're not Dominic's. They haven't been selling. You know, they've actually. You know what? If any grocery store could do it, could be Mariano's. Mariano's Field, Mariano's Stadium, Mariano's something. They
could've-
need something local.
They could have
Portillo's.
They could have used him last night.
They could have. Gene and Jude's Arena.
Yeah. How much money?
Al's Beef.
How much money?
I mean, a lot.
It's I
When
like,
they
I
tried
like
to
the
propose
Roomba.
McDome.
I like the Roomba. And when is it
Three-
official that they're moving out of downtown?
Yes and no. Like Arlington's good with it, and Chicago and the Bears are good with it. But then now there's like some drama between the city and Chicago because the Bears haven't paid off Soldier Field yet.
Okay.
And so the Bears, I think you can correct me probably, Jimmy, but I think it was 2002, 2001.
I
is
do
when they
remember those years.
officially like they got money from the city to have the stadium, but because the
Sports Nugget before 2020, I get it.
but the Bears are so
Huskers in
smart
01,
and
fantastic.
they're so good at finances that they didn't decide, hey, we're going to take our revenue and pay back
Yeah.
the city and actually own the stadium. We're just going to pay the interest
Gotcha.
on it. So they've just
Sounds
been
like my student
paying
loans.
interest on Soldier Field, and they actually haven't like knocked into the principal at all.
Put it on
So
forbearance.
they actually have a lot of money that they have to give to the city if the city makes them pay this off, which by the way, they don't have because the McCaskies don't
Yeah.
own anything other than the Bears. They are kind of cash poor. So yeah, there's a predicament, if you will. There's always a predicament. This thing became official. They bought Arlington Park like in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
It's been 3 years now.
But on this date at Wrigley Field, in
1932.
Called
shot.
Babe Ruth called his shot. Game 3 of the World Series.
Next done by Jake Taylor in 1988 in a one-game playoff against the Yankees.
You imagine if somebody today did what Babe did, came to the plate and called their shot. I mean, they'd have an ear hole.
Oh, what?
That pitch, called their shot.
Duke brushed off Jake after he called a
we
shot.
don't know what happened on the next at bat by when Babe came back up to the plate. Did anybody ever throw it, Babe?
I don't know.
Except for Roy Hobbs, who threw it by Babe.
Do you have that bobblehead, that Babe Ruth bobblehead from the Wrigley Field 100-year anniversary?
I do not.
No?
I do
Okay.
not.
I don't know. I thought maybe you're
No,
a bobblehead collector.
Yeah,
That would be.
I do not have that one.
I thought you should. The 100.
I do not know, because somebody in my stadium had a moment. I don't want that friggin' bobblehead.
But the bobblehead comes from the Wrigley Field 100-year anniversary collection.
That's why Wrigley Field has had bad moments, is because we celebrate other people's accomplishments.
Yes, but like there's a great,
like
it's an
Harold
incredible
Miner
collection
scoring
of a bunch of bobbleheads that were only sold in 2014, and you had to go to specific games. And I think there's 8 of them, and I would love to own them all. And that would be like, that's one of my collecting goals in life, is to have all 8 of them. I have 3 of them. One of them is Babe Ruth pointing out.
Yeah, I think I'd pass on that.
Are people getting ear holed as much as they used to? Like I feel like we haven't seen like guys get hit in the ribs with baseballs as much as it's like I feel like that mentality and guys throwing at each other still exists.
You're saying we're too nice to each other now?
Well, it does.
Guys aren't throwing at people at other players' heads.
Yeah,
they are brushing them back, and if they hit them, they hit them. But yeah, they're not throwing at their head.
It was an accident, but David Fry would like a word with you. Like, really? Few people are getting hit?
That was a bunt. That was a bunt. That was off a bunt.
I know, but still, it was sad.
Guy's got to put that one down. He's got to look like Matt Shaw.
But if I was a pitcher, first of all, I would be in shame that I did give up a home run. But probably the next time up, I would brush Babe back.
Well, I think I would like if
you imagine Babe Ruth rushing the mound.
He probably
might take him like a day and a half to get there.
Yeah,
there's probably some filmography of him doing it.
Well, no, all the filmography of Babe Ruth running, he's really, really fast.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not. He's slow.
No, everything is sped up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, like on
like
times 2 speed. But
from that era, you watch any film, guys running, they run super fast.
But I think that's
true. Like the Charlie Chaplin deal.
Yeah. I know he wasn't fast.
Yeah. I was saying I don't think Babe Ruth is running 18 miles an hour around the bases. At least he didn't look like that.
If he is, then I change my opinion that Ohtani is not the GOAT. It is Babe Ruth, and it'll never change. If he was running 18 miles an hour.
If Ruth runs a 4.540, then he is the greatest.
At the combine.
Problem with Babe Ruth is he added to the idea that baseball players are not athletes. That people like Cecil and Prince Fielder could play.
Well, they were incredible athletes that absolutely hit the crap out of the ball.
Telling you, I think the toughest thing to do in sports is to hit a baseball.
Oh, without it. Well, yeah. Singular, yes. I think the toughest sport for sure is boxing. But the hardest singular thing to do is hit the baseball. But you just brought up 3 guys who are out of shape but are all incredible at baseball.
Inspiring, if you ask me.
One of them was a Hall of Fame.
No, I'm promoting that baseball players are athletes.
Oh, God. Yeah.
But when you look at some like Mo Vaughn and you go,
nice,
really?
Nice.
I could play. And you're like, no, you can't, because you don't have the hand-eye coordination that a Mo Vaughn had. The swag that Mo Vaughn had.
Didn't Babe Ruth had a famous diet? It was one pint of bourbon mixed with ginger ale, 4 eggs, 2 porterhouse steaks, and fried potatoes. That was for breakfast.
Sounds like a lot of protein.
Mm-hmm. For his mid-morning snack, he had 4 hot dogs and 4 Cokes. For his lunch, he had 2 more porterhouse steaks, salad with blue cheese dressing, and then for dinner, he had another 2 porterhouse steaks.
He lived.
More salads. And then for his dessert, he had 4 hot dogs and 4 Cokes.
I mean, we didn't know what probably cholesterol was back in 1932.
I think it was pretty high, if I had to guess.
But on this date, I wonder if they'll show it on the ESPN broadcast. Or do they have time because they have 18 people that are on the broadcast?
I was going to say.
Yeah. I like Kevin Brown and Ben McDonald, and that's the Orioles TV crew, and they do a really good job. But why was Jessica Mendoza there? And then we got 2 dugout reporters. We have way too many people. Like a 3-person booth. You know, we don't need Eduardo Perez and David Cohn with Carl Ravitch. Okay? We don't need a 3-person booth in baseball.
I like Boog.
Unless that third person is in for a couple of innings and you just chat it up. 9 innings of 3 people in the booth, not good. Boog was working he's on the Dodger Red Series.
Well, we got to send it down to Jesse Rogers. We have to send it down to Jesse. Yeah. And Mendoza being on so I was toggling in and out of the volume because I don't really love the ESPN broadcast, so I'll just listen to a podcast.
Sean McDonough's really good. He was doing the Guardians Tigers game.
That was the one game that I didn't watch.
He might be their most versatile play-by-play guy on ESPN.
Your segment last week about screaming announcers, Sean would be the exact opposite. A pro's pro who's damn near legendary.
Hey, I miss him doing the College World Series.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's doing he's a really good
first class.
Announcer. I like him. Now, I think he gets a little too much slack because he's got to follow up Doc Emmerich. And so I think he has an unfair standard that he's fighting against.
He does a good job, though.
He does a very good job. I want to listen to him now in baseball. I did listen to him yesterday.
So he's college football, hockey, and baseball. He might be their most versatile announcer, but yet he's not on the number one baseball crew. I don't know that I'm sad that ESPN is losing baseball.
I'm not.
I mean, they're still going to have some baseball.
John Miller, Joe Morgan would have been doing their Red Sox Yankee
they don't make
game
it
last
special.
night.
It's not special to tune in. Like last night should have been special. And I was dreading listening to those three doing the Red Sox Yankee game. So then I started listening to the Red Sox radio call.
Carl Ravitch put my child to sleep last night. She loves baseball. She watched all baseball yesterday.
They were so infatuated with pitch counts last night that it was too much for me. And yet Alex Cora, who thank you for being an old school manager and managing with your gut, allows Crochet to throw 117 pitches. Now, we could have had a Grady Little Part 2 situation.
Yeah.
If Crochet melts down, but he kept him in the game, and on his 117th pitch, he threw 100 miles an hour, and the pitch before that, he was 99 on the black. So thank you, Alex Cora, for being an old school manager. But ESPN last night they were so into pitch counts and taking guys out. It's almost like Boone heard him and said, "You're right, Freed, let's go."
Well, yeah,
to bite the Yankees.
Well, I had the volume on Dancing with the Stars yesterday, in part because I just don't like the broadcast. I just don't.
Your favorite show is Dancing with the Stars.
I forgot about that.
You reference that a lot.
I love Dancing with the Stars. It's fun. It's a good show.
Watched
it's
it.
very entertaining.
Carlton hosts it now, right?
Yes.
What year is this? Like 27 or something?
Oh, it's got to be up there. I have no clue what. Actually, I think last
year has
year
been on the air
25.
longer. Dancing with the Stars or Grey's Anatomy, which is still
Grey's Anatomy 04.
Crazy, still on the air. They're having another season.
Yeah.
The first season of Dancing with the Stars was in 2005.
Oh, then Grey's Anatomy, which started as a filler in the spring of 04, because I used to watch Boston Legal.
They still have the two of the same hosts too, the two of the same judges from the first season of Dancing with the Stars then to what they have now. It's a very entertaining show.
That the one with Randy Jackson?
Robert Irwin,
no,
Steve Irwin's son, is absolutely killing it. He had a great dance yesterday. And then you have Alex Earl, you know that? She's a TikTok girl. You have Whitney, whatever. She was on a Mormon Wives show. That's how she became famous. Baron Davis.
Oh, B. Diddy. I remember him.
He's dancing. He didn't get eliminated, though.
Terrell Owens still on that show?
No, T.O. is not on that show.
Emmett won it, right?
Emmett was in it. I don't know if Emmett won it. Athletes don't really win. It's hard for
I thought Jerry Rice was like the greatest ever.
It's hard winning Dance with the Stars. You got to be really good. Andy Richter, you know Andy Richter? He stayed alive.
I want to see Andy.
He's terrible at dancing, but he's just getting sympathy votes. So that's really cool, too.
I've never watched it, so
Same.
I've just seen, but they promo it a lot.
Yeah.
It gets in the way of my sports.
You should. Okay. But
yes, because they showed on Monday.
There was only one baseball game on. And so I had the baseball game on the right TV, and I listened to Carl Ravitch for an inning, and then I put the volume on Dancing with the Stars.
No, I'm not a dancer.
You could be a dancer.
I've tried line dancing. Not for me.
Well, that's easy.
So I don't want to watch people dance.
You could be a ballroom dancer.
Not a chance.
It'd be really good for your health.
Yeah. You know what? I spent 4 weeks learning a dance for my wedding.
Okay.
How'd it go? I can relate to this.
Yeah.
The song was pretty sad.
Was it the merengue?
No, I'm not sure what the dance was, but it was she was very touchy-feely in Cape Coral, giving us dance lessons. like I think I danced with her more than I danced with my wife. Like when we were practicing. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it, now that you think about it, do you miss it?
Now, one time I had a miss, and I'm like, hey, can you go in place of me? Like, no, that's not how it works. No, I would not say that I'm a dancer. Like I will get out and cut a rug at a wedding reception for hire. Like I'll come out and I'll boogie.
For hire?
Like at a bar mitzvah, I'm really good. You know, like I can get with the 13-year-olds and
okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the sentence that you want out there.
I'm not gonna watch a dance show. That doesn't appeal to me.
I think you know what? If
I used to watch The Grind on MTV.
We were power ranking the events of that Gary Sharp would be the most fun at, I do think a bar mitzvah would definitely be up there. I can
No,
see
because
you
I got
be
the
in
most
the
recent
life
one I
of
went
party.
to. I got in trouble.
Promo
How'd you get in
idea.
trouble at a bar mitzvah?
One, I couldn't find the synagogue. I got confused
What do you
in
mean
Omaha.
what do you mean you couldn't find the
Well,
synagogue?
I
I
thought
feel
it
like
was
a
a-
synagogue is kind of out there.
No, it's
Pretty noticeable.
well, it's kind of off the road, off a main road.
Okay.
I got lost, and I thought I knew where it was, and yeah, I was late getting there, so I sat in the back. But there was an important game going on,
Oh my god!
So I had it on
you
my
told me this
phone.
story.
Gary,
and then I
Hell
the
yes.
kid's reading the Torah. You can't be watching college football.
I understood nothing that
Yeah.
was going
Well,
on.
yeah,
okay?
obviously you don't speak.
It might have been a really good game too.
It
What
was
was the game?
It was actually
Was it Tennessee, Alabama?
Ooh, that would have been a good one.
That would have been a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
about 2 years ago.
Nebraska was clinching the Big Ten in baseball that day, so I was watching.
That's a
It
big
wasn't- It
deal.
wasn't
Um,
even a football game.
And then I made a comment like I think I understood it better, the whole ceremony, because there's a lot of verses, there's a lot of pageantry,
Yes, it's a celebration.
and then the youngster carries around the Stanley Cup for everybody to see, and then it's over.
That's sweet.
And then they get a lot of money, and the
They
food
do
is
get
really, really good, and the party is really, really good. That was my experience. But yes,
They get a lot of money.
I have not been invited back since.
You know Lil Dicky,
Not personally.
the rap, the rapper though.
Yeah,
You're aware of his existence.
yeah, he's been on the show before.
Whoa, Dave was on the show.
He performed in Omaha, I don't know, 8-10 years ago. And as a joke, we had him on.
How cool was that? Was he good?
He's
Was
not
he funny?
He's not a morning guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Not as good
that's
as the
not
Bigfoot
He
lady.
went to Richmond. Go Spiders. He started his rap career with his bar mitzvah money.
I would have one. I should have had one when I was a youngster.
You're not-
Instead of having a first communion.
Yeah. I didn't get much
But
for
you're
my
not.
first communion.
You're not.
I got
Jewish.
lunch.
But they make a lot of money. I would do that. They're a lot of money for celebrating that. You get a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm aware, but you can't just say, "Oh, you can't just declare bankruptcy." Like
Can't you
Michael
convert?
Scott, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to have a bar mitzvah."
You can't convert. You can't apply.
I ran
mean,
a
This is
hey.
not a job. You
Hey.
don't send in a resume.
Yeah, it's one of my. I think I was. I think I
cross
was
that off
good
the
with the
list.
money when I was younger because I ran like a major
Sting
NCAA
operation?
bracket out of Urbandale High School, like lots of money.
How'd you know you were going to go into sports?
I should have earlier, like just a couple of years earlier, said, you know what? How much do you make when you turn that age? And they're like, I'd like to do the same thing.
How much could you make off of your?
The winner, my senior year in high school, got about $500.
That's big time.
I got in trouble for running a survivor pool at
Yeah.
my school.
I wasn't going to go smoke in the bathroom because I wasn't a smoker,
There's a
but I
song
was
about
going to
that.
run a NCAA bracket for a pool and put the fear of God into freshmen that they had to come up with $10 to get in.
And then, did you take any off the top?
Yeah.
You have to.
Like I had to because
How
I
much
was
trouble did you get in? Because I got in a lot of trouble, but that
I
was
used
because
it-
I had $80
I was
in my
used as
locker.
an example of in a business class.
Yeah, but isn't that good business though? Like
Yeah,
you kind of
good lesson.
I mean, I
got
got hollered at because like some people didn't pay, so we had to go visit the freshman hall.
Mhm.
Are you telling me that you ran a Tony Soprano mob operation when it came to?
No, I
this
just ran. I love.
NCAA?
I love the bracket. I love March Madness.
Gary.
I just
It
thought-
ain't good.
I just thought the whole high school should be in on it.
He's an interior designer.
All right, back to football.
My mom, her best friend is really into ballroom dancing, and her husband took classes, and they went dancing in
Yeah.
Miami. They were in a ballroom, and in this
Usually,
hotel.
you are when you are a ballroom dancer.
They were in this hotel ballroom, and they were all of a sudden this kind of shorter, bald-headed guy in Miami comes up to them and goes, "I absolutely love the way you two dance," and it ended up being Mr. 305. It was Pitbull. Pitbull came up to him and said, "You guys are incredible ballroom dancers," and then they tell that story
would know.
everywhere they go.
He is a very nice person.
You've met
Yeah.
Mr. Worldwide?
Through a friend. Yeah, he's very, very nice person. He is really, really cool.
Do you know him like
No, I
first
don't-
name
no,
basis?
No.
Or you
It's
just
just-
what do
He's
you
just
call
Pitt.
him? What do you? I was about to say, do you call him Pitt, or
Mr.
do you-
Bull.
Mr. Bull,
Well,
Pitbull?
So it's
Do we know his first name? Are you allowed to reveal his first name?
I mean,
Well,
it's on the internet.
So,
Pitbull, real
person that I am friends with, knew him from Coral Park High School. I think
Okay.
that's where he went to school. And he introduced him as Armando,
Yeah, that is his name.
and then looked at him and laughed. Yeah. So I was like, So I did not say like, "Hey, Mr. Pitbull" or anything. Yeah. No, he's a very nice guy. He's
I bet he is.
like everything they say about him in Miami and stuff, like back in his community.
He's Mr. 305.
Yeah. All right. Enough of dancing. Steve says, Bruin Steve, hockey season's going on. We got some preseason games are going on. The opening night is next week. He says, dancing with people you Google to figure out why they're famous.
Yeah.
What
Some
about
of
that?
them.
We used to have Dancing with the Stars for local celebrities here. They used to have like once a year, they would have somebody from this radio station.
Oh, I'd have so been you.
But
I would have supported you.
Oh my God,
I
I
don't know.
would've-
I haven't heard about it for a couple of years, so it may not be going on anymore. But they used to have used to raise a lot of money for charity. But every year there'd be at least one person from here.
That's
We gotta bring it back.
Master
I would
all
so
over
do
it.
it. I would win. Would you come if I did Dancing with the Stars locally?
I would
would you
come.
come?
I would
Okay.
go, and I
would
never
come.
leave anywhere past
That is true.
like half a mile.
I only asked because I've just been
There's
waiting.
your irrational confidence again that you said that you would win.
I would win because I would dial in because I'd be very competitive.
Now I hope
That might give you a
Happer would
chance.
enter because then it'd be,
I believe that Jenny Olive, who used to be over on Sweet 98 years ago, did win.
That's
Yeah.
impressive. God, why don't
I don't know
they do
whatever
that?
happened to that. They used to raise a lot of money for a charity. Was it Make a Wish maybe?
That'd be awesome.
But I haven't heard about it for a couple of years because they'd always ask at least one person a year from this building.
Do the samba. I would love to learn how to do the samba.
Yeah.
You got to watch Dancing with the Stars. It's a great show.
Nah, probably
Maybe
not.
take a break from Landman. You watch all of
Landman's
these.
not coming until November.
you-
Please learn the schedule.
you-
Tulsa King's going on right now.
You watch all of these incredible action thrillers that are very widely heralded.
Is it on
that
TikTok?
everybody-
Can I
that-
watch part of it on TikTok?
Yesterday was TikTok night.
Okay.
They
Is
had
it-
a night.
I actually knew
dedicated to
this because they
TikTok.
showed a thing during the baseball.
Take a break. Come on. Get out of the world of being super stressed out and thrillers and dramas and actions. Get out of that. Watch a bunch of brain rot with me. Watch a bunch of people, half of which you've never heard of, and the half in which you did heard of, that they're D-list celebrities, and just watch them dance like a bunch of fools.
I think I'm better at watching. Matthew Boyd struck out Luis Ariza yesterday, which is amazing. He doesn't strike out. Jeremy says, I believe it was Youth Emergency Services. Thank you. It was great. It was super well organized. Disappointed that maybe went away.
Bring it back. We want Matt to do
I'm
it.
telling you, I want to marry a dancer after watching Dancing with the Stars.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's another segment.
There's a lot in there in this conversation. Probably just leave this alone.
Where was this in July?
and move on to running back 2. Will they be able to dance away from Michigan
They
State?
go- they
Who
go-
Will they
will be
dance in the end
dancer?
zone?
Who will be the dancer? Will it be a dancer that is actually a gadget guy? Will it be a dancer that is familiar to all of us? Or will it be a dancer as running back 2 of things we've never seen? Will it be more than running back 2? Will it be 2A and 2B that will be playing on Saturday? We'll never know. That's selling tickets. You got to go to the game or watch it on TV to find out.
They got this-
Nebraska's not revealing anything. They don't want Michigan State to know of this special plan that they have for a backup running back.
They got this one girl in the ensemble, and she might be like the prettiest woman I've ever seen in my entire life. Absolutely.
Does she dance?
Yeah, she's not one of the pros, but she's like dances before the show and like in the transitions. They don't do commercials, they do transitions of dances.
Does it have people dancing?
Yeah, ensemble.
Like
Okay.
warm up?
Come on, you've been in a play before. The ensemble.
Okay.
The extras.
All right. Probably not going to watch this. I'll let you update me continuously on this show.
This is Take 5 great material here. I would watch this if you're. I don't even watch the show, but I would support you.
Just doesn't fit into my schedule. I'd rather watch Big Red Wrap Up than Dancing with the Stars.
I probably should have watched that.
All right. Speaking of Big Red Wrap Up, Jay Moore will join us in an hour. Whiskey Fest is coming back to Omaha downtown at the Hilton this Saturday. Over 300 whiskeys, live music. You'll be able to watch the Nebraska-Michigan State game. Presentations. To find out more, stick around. We'll talk to the good folks from the Whiskey Fest coming up at 8. Also, John Walker, who is starting 17 Days of Jays in the World Herald, and Brandon Vogel, all to come on a Wednesday edition of Gary and Matt on 1620 The Zone. So this is what I envisioned in Cleveland this morning on Sports Talk. Not a discussion of Dancing with the Stars, because they got more things to talk about. They'll do about 35 seconds of Jose Ramirez on the play at the plate. yesterday and what Scooble did to them. And then they'll go right back to the big thing in Cleveland. There's been a quarterback change. Joe Flacco is out. Dylan Gabriel is in. So Cleveland goes with a new quarterback, and he'll make his first NFL start against the Vikings in London.
Yeah. Good luck.
If I'm doing the quick math here, and let's say that Daniels doesn't come back this weekend and Mariota starts, isn't that 4 starting quarterbacks from Oregon in the NFL this weekend?
Where are you at, Joey Harrington?
Justin Herbert, Bo Nixon, Dylan Gabriel, and if Mariota starts, that's 4 Oregon quarterbacks starting in the NFL.
I'm trying to think if there's another one. I don't think there is another one. That's 4. They have to have what? Ohio State will have Fields, Stroud, and that's it. Bama's got Tua, and Max's not starting. So that's not, but Bryce Young will be starting for now. So that's 2. I don't think another team has. Does another team have 3? I don't think so.
And if the Saints make a quarterback change, can't they claim Chuck? Because he started.
No, he got drafted. He got drafted by Louisville.
Okay, all right.
Like I don't think that Texas Tech can say that they have 2 starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Okay,
but I think Oklahoma could say we have Murray and we have Baker Mayfield.
It's a good run for Oregon at quarterback. Speaking of quarterback, yeah.
But I mean, like Gabriel is a backup and he's a rookie, and I don't know if he's going to be that good. Mariota is a perennial backup. Bo Nix is fine.
They started a game in the NFL.
Yes, they're doing.
Nix and Herbert are different, but they
Herbert.
Both have started a game in the NFL.
I think yes, you're right. Going off of college, they've had a very good run. Going off of how their guys do in the NFL, they've had a good run.
Does it matter? Like let's say we're already fast forwarding to the end of next year, and Dylan gets drafted. What if he's just in the NFL, starts a game here or there? We're thank you. It's a new answer to a trivia question that has been a trivia question for way too long.
I think it'd be disappointing. I do think that there's a ton of value, especially now in the recruiting cycle, of having guys at your position that are superstars in the NFL that you can point your hat to.
Nebraska needs to start producing NFL quarterbacks.
Nebraska needs to start producing NFL offensive talent.
Okay, I'll go a step further.
Go. Okay.
Because who? Oh, I listened to the head coach at Georgia Tech talk yesterday. Haynes King gets a lot of run, and rightfully so. But he said like 3 different times when they're talking about this season, our whole program is predicated on the development of offensive linemen. I was like, whoa,
yeah.
There are some places that now you have some new fans. And they'll be like, develop your offensive line. He goes, yeah. He goes, our program. He goes, oh, look at my program, and go. You know what? If we're developing offensive linemen, our program is in a really good spot. And I thought about that. And, Georgia Tech has kind of taken on, because of like what Haynes King does, he can run and throw, is a physicality from that position.
Yes.
Where our running back will throw it by you, but he also run over you.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, our program is kind of predicated on the development of offensive linemen.
I like how you called Haynes King a running back there.
Well, he is. I don't think he gets enough credit. He can throw the football. But people look at him and go, oh, he's kind of an option guy. He's an RPO guy. And if he carries the ball and you're stuck on the end, he's going to run you over.
I think Haynes King is like the epitome of, we miss old college football so much. So we love guys who are as closely emulated toward it as possible. And that's why he just is so incredibly popular. He is Jerry
Godowski. If you know, you know. I think that's a good comp. Would you think so, Jimmy? Like Haynes King and Jerry Godowski. Yeah. Guys that could throw it, but also run, and they're fast. But when they run, there's a chance that they're going to knock you over.
Yeah. They don't look like they're fun to tackle.
They might not run by you.
Yeah.
But they're going to make it difficult on you.
I think that
it's painful to tackle
to me, though. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't know that he said it. It's interesting to me, though, that he specifically said offensive line. Because I think the whole, we talk about coaching cliches, and we love coaching cliches, but one of them is like, we have to win in the trenches, or we got to build through the trenches, and we have to build both lines. And then you just kind of say that, and everybody goes, oh, he knows what he's doing. The fact that he targeted the offensive line particularly is interesting to me, because I think it just confirms the fact that we already know that this game is just becoming so much more offensive as the years go on, and it just matters so much, not only just scoring points and being able to throw the
Still
football,
got
but
a great
also
line.
controlling possession.
But it isn't an identity. So let's talk about Nebraska here, because Rocco spoke yesterday, and Rocco wasn't he the one in August that said the Joe Moore Award?
Yes.
Okay, never bought into that, but that's what he said. That was their goal. But I think if you have a really good offensive line in the game of college football and you're developing offensive linemen, it is an identity. Okay. It is what you're built on. You're built in the trenches. Okay. That gives you a feeling of, wow, we can do whatever we want with a good offensive line. We got 5 guys that are in unison, that are blocking, that are pass blocking, and we can do whatever we want. Maybe we don't have to have extreme skill talent that is the best of the best, but you know what? They're going to look better because those 5 guys up front are going to keep us clean.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's now go time, because Rocco spoke yesterday, and he had a good phrase, and he's not one I would point to and go, man, you're on the struggle bus, because I think Nebraska's interior offensive line, a little hit or miss with Lutovsky. Him and Evans have been good, and I think Justin Evans is the poster child of any developing offensive lineman who's come the furthest when he got into the program to where he is now. But Rocco said Joe Moore Award. I'm telling you, this weekend, USC was not afraid to run the football against Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
They ran it for 40-plus times. And that game was 45-31. But if you go back and watch the game, USC committed a lot of mistakes. They could have scored more and blown that game wide open, but USC made some mistakes. But USC was not afraid to line it up and run the football against Michigan State. That's what I'm looking for this weekend, is the trust in an offensive line to run the football, because buckle up, everybody. It's not Michigan State, who has got some issues on their line, and especially on the defensive side. Nebraska is going to face Maryland, Minnesota, Iowa down the road. 3 teams that allow less than 3 yards per carry. Okay? For a program that is still trying to find their way at running back, and you got talked about yesterday of technique, and then the E word came out, effort.
Mm-hmm.
If I got an offensive line where I'm developing, it's just churning over, and I can rely on those 5 guys, and then I can get to 8, the identity that you have and the confidence that you have year after year, where you're trying to fix other things on your team, I'd take that every day.
Well, yeah. And if the offensive line were to be elite or Joe Moore caliber, the problems that you have at running back would not be erased, but they definitely would be covered up.
Because Nebraska Amir could erase things of a poor offensive line. Yeah. Emmett can't erase things when things on the outside break down. But if Emmett was running behind a solid 5, and last year became a solid 5. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't even really question Emmett going, oh man, is he really a Big Ten running back? Would he be RB1 and how many other schools? I love that Brent Key said that. But I'm like, that's a great identity to have.
I like that they have that idea, like great for Georgia Tech, but I just don't understand why Nebraska hasn't been able to emulate something like that when you consider the fact that Matt Rule, when he first came here, established that he is a line guy. Hey, we're all about the trenches. He was an assistant offensive line assistant in the NFL. That's like when he hired Donovan Raiola, he talked about how he had a certain system and he had a certain way that his offensive line coach wanted to coach. And Raiola just happened to fit that because he came from the Harry Hiestand tree, right? But you've had 3 years now.
Okay, so why? You're asking the question. Do you not have the answer? Do you not have an opinion of why? We're all offensive line experts around here. That truly is. You come out of the womb, you're in Nebraska, you know everything about offensive line because you can tell stories about Milton Dan, and you've seen great offensive line play. So we do all have opinions. But why do you think? Answer your own question.
Okay, I'll answer. Why they're not a Joe Moore Award?
No,
contenders?
How about don't even go to Joe Moore Award for an offensive line is a award for all 5 guys. They're not in that world. Okay, so just stick with just being a solid, consistent from week 1 to week 12 offensive line.
I think they're slow out of the blocks from the tackles on pass protection. I think they got exposed by speed rushers against Michigan. I think that interior, the offensive line is strong, but it's not overbearing. They get a little bit of push, but not a ton of push. I just don't think that they have the combination of both speed and strength that you would see on elite offensive lines. And I think that there are times where they definitely do struggle moving up to the second level, especially when they're trying to run inside zone. And I think that's why when we look at the numbers on PFF, why their inside zone numbers are always lower than their outside zone numbers, because they just kind of struggle in the interior getting up to the linebackers. So that's what I see. Like, those are the struggles that I'm looking at. Now, I can't tell you how they're supposed to fix them other than recruit better and coach better, right? Like, that's all. I'm not an offensive line coach. I can't tell you the ins and outs and the specifics, but just watching it, they have a speed problem out of the blocks and they have a movement problem when they're moving up in the inside zone.
I didn't like the technique effort thing. That was a comment yesterday
from Spindler. I saw that.
I'm not going to disagree with him because he's playing the position.
Exactly.
And if he says we had a technique and an effort problem, the technique can be thrown off by all of a sudden the speed and the physicality, and it goes out the window. I didn't like the E word. I didn't like two things yesterday, which I thought were odd, that I'm not going, oh boy, but I thought were veteran guys, that one offensive lineman mentioned E and effort, and then what Dana said. Show you what it looks like. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of odd. Keep an eye on. Keep in the back of your head. Those two things stood out yesterday. But I appreciate the candor of Rocco. I mean, the guy would know. I mean, I bet his dad just blistered him after that game. I met Mark. Scary guy. Great guy. Great personality. Big.
Damn good too as a player.
Good guy. But he'll holds old son to a higher standard, and the football program to a higher standard.
Are there really dads of offensive linemen that aren't a tad bit scary? I mean, it's got to think, if you raise one of those human beings that can play like that.
Some got on a message board. Some have a radio show. So yeah. So answer your question, yes. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll tell you more about the Whiskey Fest that is coming to downtown Omaha once again. It was a great time last year. If you love whiskey, they put on a great show. So we'll do that coming up at 8. Jay Moore, John Walker, and Brandon Vogel on 1620 The Zone. All right, Nebraska's back in action this weekend against Michigan State. 3:00 kickoff on FS1. Tim Brando, Devin Gardner will be the announcing crew. And then Big Red Overreaction. You are with?
Connor Happer.
All right. So Connor Happer and Mick Sportsbook will be going at it.
Did you see that? That was a great tweet. Everybody's going crazy. Trying to keep my good record alive. I'm no longer undefeated.
Oh, that's right.
4-1, though.
You know, you get back on the horse.
I'm 4-1 in the games that matter this season.
You go.
A little bit like Nebraska.
Here is Kyle. Kyle, thanks for the call. Welcome to the show on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone Hotline. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, Kyle.
Oh, callback. He had a good one.
Wanted to ask about Missouri recruiting?
Yeah, he wanted to ask why Missouri has been able to recruit better linemen and running backs in Nebraska, and he wanted to just unload.
They are willing to pay.
But call back, Kyle. He really
the
cared.
Athletes Unlimited Pro Volleyball Championship coming to Omaha. Caleb Banworth is going to be back in town, former Husker. It is coming up this weekend, 3rd through the 13th at the Liberty First Credit Union. They're kicking out the Lancers. We have your chance to get into some of the games on the 12th of October. All you got to do is go to our website, 1620thezone.com, to register to win 4 tickets.
I got an email recently from the Omaha Lancers that their season had started, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think they're a couple of weeks in. Joel Norman, former voice of the Lincoln Stars, I think is the new, I guess they're not on radio, the new, what are they, Flow Sports announcer. Okay. Yeah, the Lincoln Stars have a new radio announcer. I'm going to have to go down there and give him the old, the tutorial on the good old days of Lincoln Stars hockey.
That is, look, whenever we get to the point where we're not in football season, you actually should tell some Lincoln Stars stories because you've told them to me and they're pretty good. They sound like fun. I've only ever went to 3 games, and all 3 of those games were the days that they sold alcohol at a very cheap price. And then I got the upgraded seat. You know the promotion they do when they upgrade you?
I haven't been there in a while, but yeah, I didn't even,
put
you on they still have the stage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're
it's a club?
It's a club.
Still
area.
A club?
Yeah. And they go upgraded seat of the game, and they grab somebody random from the stands, and then they put him in these 2 recliner seats. And my very good friend was the promotions director.
Okay.
For the so there was a little bit collusion, if we're being honest. She was like, "Oh, do you want to do it?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah." It was fun. It's been a while.
All right. I was going to mention this. I was looking because it's that time of the week when we get the update on the high school lines for high school football. Our good friend, Bo Doug Woodard. So I was looking at week 6 lines of high school football.
Yeah.
There's only 4 Class A games that have lines that are in single figures. Our game on Friday night. Yeah. So Happer is joining me on TV over on Cox. We won't tell people that he's a Central grad. The Central Prep game has the best, the closest line, 1.5. The Millard South Radio Network, which is in this building.
Yes.
That's all you guys do is Millard South. Who is picking those games?
Okay. So first off, I mean, I'm not going to throw my guy Jimmy Allen under the bus or anything like that.
That is bad scheduling. Well, that line for Papillion La Vista is 71.5. You know what the total is for that game?
Holy crap.
71.5.
So first off,
you guys do all these Millard South games.
I don't want to.
Does Jimmy really hate you and John?
You're like Pat Summerall and John Madden and the Cowboys in the 90s.
Over Jimmy with the bus. I'm not going to say that he's bad at picking schedules or anything like that. I don't know.
He enjoys Millard South.
It could be availability thing. It could be
Millard South Radio
thing.
Network.
I don't know. They're good football.
I think he dislikes you and John. That's forcing you guys to come up with filler material when you're doing a Millard South game.
Well, yeah.
You should call into After Hours and
there's
discuss
actually
this
a
with
clip
him.
somewhere on the board of me judging the Millard South band. They put on an incredible performance.
Yeah.
When they ended up playing, I forgot. No, they played Millard North. No, it'll be. I think Papillion will score.
Okay.
I think that will happen because the last game we announced was Papillion Creighton Prep, and that was an incredibly competitive game. And I thought Papillion looked pretty good through the first half of it, and then unfortunately a trick play and a punt return for Prep ended up winning them that game. But yeah, Millard South is a wagon. They're really, really good at football. 71.5. I'd probably
take the over.
I'd take the over for sure. And I would probably take the points. I don't think they'll lose by 7.
So
the win shouldn't be
couple
bad
of these
either.
lines.
The second one is wild.
Hey, that's why we have the game. We have the game of the night over at
The
Burke.
second one is crazy.
So Elkhorn South Burke, 62.5.
Jeez.
Bell West South Sioux City, 62.5. Columbus Bryan, 56.5. West Side trying to bounce back. They play Fremont, 49.5.
Oh my God.
North and Buena Vista. This might be low. 67.5.
But how about you skipped over the game of the week, Kearney versus Papio South?
How looks it going?
That should be a good one.
It's
The
even.
bottom, we got 1.5.
That's
Yeah.
a proper line too.
Tim's had a good year
52.5.
over at Papio South. They got a nice team. They Jones in the backfield. I think he's been in high school for like 8 years. Got dinged up. I hope he's okay.
I'm jealous. You're watching Central versus Creighton Prep. I thought you had.
Yeah, you guys
Central
have a good
versus-
game.
I thought you had.
That was the game of the night.
That'll
We have
be-
a then we
yes.
have Elkhorn South West Side next week.
You're gonna have Angelo Walker. He was running the ball hard. He's a hard runner.
And have Tori Pittman, who apparently woke up, wasn't real happy with some of the Barstool West Side stuff.
Really?
Yeah,
Good for Tori.
yeah, we had you know what, high school. I'm going to say this: high school football is back. We had a lot more people clapping back after games on Friday night that are athletes. Back and forth between schools. I miss those days of Millard South and West Side. That was just a couple of years ago.
We have no shortage of pettiness in high school football and college football, and I'm
Yeah.
all here for it.
Well, enjoy the Millard South Radio Network.
I'm not gonna.
Well, you guys, what other
What do you
games are you
mean?
doing?
That polos?
I have no clue.
That gets
I'm
polos.
gonna be honest with you. I don't even know my.
You're on
own
the
schedule.
broadcast.
I don't know my schedule 2 weeks from now.
Because you can't hear the promo. It's so low.
I know. I put in an order for them to boost the promo, and they
We're doing that
haven't boosted
promo.
it.
You can't even hear the promo.
16,
It's a good
20.
product.
Well,
we have high
Jimmy's
school
gotta be-
football on the air, but no one
Well,
can
hey,
hear it.
I'm not involved in this. Don't
Have
look at me.
It's been unfortunate that you haven't been able to listen to any of my radio cast. I would love to hear your opinion. You were very excited for me because I was going to be talking ball.
Are you guys going to go to Lincoln
Breaking it
High
down.
next week as the Millard South
No,
Radio
I don't
Network?
think we're going. We're not the Millard South Radio Network.
Gotta
we
stick
just
with 'em.
happen to broadcast a lot of Millard South.
Just like the
games,
two guys that
right?
did West
I
Canaan
really
football.
think it just comes down to I think they might be one of the very few places that we can actually broadcast.
Good
at.
gosh almighty, Joe Friday.
But funny enough, we're going to Papillion this week, which hell of a hot dog, by the way, at Papio South. Like the grill there, good burgers.
Ooh.
Good
How
hot
can you
dog.
Does Roncalli have some comp now?
No. But so the grill is set up right outside of the entrance to the press box at
Nice.
Tradition Field.
They were giving me free food at the Papio game.
I felt bad for you.
It was a good game.
It was a really good game. That was a good win by Prep. I'm
I'll
looking
tell-
forward to
tell you right
seeing
now,
Prep
the-
for the first time this
The
year.
Papillion van was absolutely incredible. They were so good. I think we're getting to competition season, and so they're all giving
Yeah.
out the best stuff. They did
Ah,
like
yeah,
they did like
yeah.
a horde. They did like a scream thing.
When
Jimmy.
will people are asking when will Coach Mendenhall be interviewed on the broadcast? Like, does he have a pre and post game show?
he has a pregame.
Yeah.
He has a
Yeah,
pregame.
you have post game too.
Not post.
Like, do you interview the Millard South players after the game?
Mhm.
No.
Well, Matt, good to have you guys here again.
We have a pregame interview. Well, the one game that I was on that we broadcasted to Millard South, Coach Mendenhall wasn't coaching. So it's been my first time meeting him.
Good guy. Good guy.
Yeah.
They have their own radio network. That's pretty cool.
I think Coach McLaughlin.
Are you guys gonna do that Benson game at the end of the year?
I don't know.
Is that game gonna be played?
I don't know if Coach
Hey,
McLaughlin.
Shout out Benson. They've had a good year. Benson football.
I don't know if the coach of Papillion LaVista really likes me.
Tim?
No, Sean McLaughlin.
Oh, at Pavilion La Vista High. Yes, my
Yeah.
bad. Why?
Well,
Good
he's
dude.
He's a really good dude.
It's a great football family, the McLaughlins.
Yes.
His father Dan, and then Sean is in his first year at Pavilion La Vista. Why doesn't he like you?
He's a really good coach, and I was impressed with him on the sideline. But when I went up to him, he's a tall guy. He's a very, very
So he didn't like you because you're shorter?
No, listen to this.
I've had
We-
good interaction with Sean.
we-
I'm shorter
no,
than Sean.
We interviewed Sean, and Sean was kind of slouched over, and he was sitting in a seat, and he didn't look particularly tall on camera. And then I met him in real person, and I was like, and I was kind of startled with like he's like 6'5". I was like, oh my god, like you're so
Okay.
tall. And he's like, yeah, I've been this height my entire life. And then we started laughing about it. I don't know if he liked that though. I didn't know if he liked being called very tall.
All right. Millard South Radio Network, 7 o'clock on Friday night.
We're not the radio. Network.
71 and a half.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
What will be fun is what we're going to talk about next. Whiskey Fest is coming back to the Hilton downtown. It was a great fun last year. So much they said I can't go this year. We had a great time last year. You will have a great time. We're going to tell you more when we return on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. Wait a minute, who signed this? Oh, all right. It is back this weekend. Last year was my first time, and I had a great time. Great time. And I wasn't even drinking. Okay. But that's not the whole goal here. Whiskey Fest is back this Saturday, back at the Hilton. Two very special guests are in studio. Not just two of our listeners that were like, let's just drink whiskey at 8 a.m, but welcome back.
I'm Rachel McClanahan. I'm on the board of Whiskey Fest.
And Chaz Klein on the board with Whiskey Fest as well.
So Rachel and Chaz are awesome. All right. They know whiskey. They know the event. As you have another year, it's back at the Hilton. great setup, as I was telling you beforehand, of the setup, the presentation, the music. What are some other things, like people that didn't get a chance last year to be there or did? Anything new this year that we've added to what was a great event last year?
I think what we've done this year is we've really tried to incorporate some of the board members' charities that we all stand behind, and really show the Omaha that you can also enjoy whiskey and still support Omaha through local charities.
Chaz and Rachel, either one of you, I think over the last couple of years, at least for me, I've seen a massive raise in popularity in whiskey in general. It seems like everybody's dad has a new whiskey bar, and all the all the different bottles, and they go to different fests and they pick up, and it's almost as like they're showing off their new toys, right? I got my small batch from here. How have you guys personally seen the raise in popularity in whiskey, and how have you guys been able to benefit from that?
Well, I think what you've just described has been truly the huge bourbon surge. As Omaha Whiskey Fest and lovers of bourbon, we've all been able to benefit from that. We're seeing a lot more local and regional distilleries, which is great. That gives everybody in the opportunity who doesn't live, say, in Kentucky, where mostly a lot of the bourbon's being manufactured, to actually experience what a distillery looks like, what does a keg of whiskey look like, and they're able to sample it.
How did we make it to 5 years, Rachel? Because a lot of these events start and they have 1 or 2 years, and then they go away and people go, hey, what happened? I was going to go. We're now celebrating 5 years.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We've had an amazing support from the community of just people buying tickets and attending. I'm the volunteer coordinator every year. So I have about 100 to 150 volunteers that actually help run the event, which we would not be able to do without them. So that's actually one of the biggest things that I feel has been awesome, because they are not only whiskey lovers themselves, but they want to help support the community, and they want to come out and make it enjoyable for everybody.
And both of you are not only big supporters of the event, involved in the event, you love whiskey. What was so important, and I love that it was at Hilton Omaha, is that the setup, the like other things that you've gone to, why is the setup different and so much more consumer friendly for what you're putting on?
Say it's very interactive. I mean, you've got 2 ballrooms full of booths to sample. There's a speaker room. Last year or the year before, we even had cocktail room where people got to see how cocktails specifically were made with the different types of whiskeys and bourbons. So just very interactive. Bands. We have a cigar lounge on the patio. I mean, all these type of things that you can actually go from room to room and not just be sitting down at a table sampling something being handed to you. You're walking around. You get to meet the nonprofits as well.
What's the reaction, Chaz, of people that come to present and show off their whiskey, like their interaction with the good whiskey drinkers here in Omaha?
Yeah, I think they're quite amazed, to be honest. A lot of conversation. People are not afraid to step up and ask the manufacturer, how's your product made? What's your mash bill? And let's start sampling. And that's the one thing about bourbon and whiskey in general, is the fact that somebody has a bottle and you want to share and you want to talk, have a story, you want to talk maybe about sports or music or family or whatever it might be. And this is what's happening at Omaha Whiskey Fest. And it seems like after 5 years, this is like a 5th-year reunion of people that we see once a year. And that's the really cool part, is we get to see this, people that we don't normally see during the year at Whiskey Fest.
Absolutely. Most of my volunteers are repeat from the last 3 to 4 years.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So it's awesome. They know the roles, they know what to do, and they're whiskey lovers themselves. So it's fun to see them interact with everybody that attends.
Yeah. What is your guys' goal for this event? Because I think, like we talked about, like, whiskey's getting more popular. People want to know where it's coming from. People are collecting the bottles. I know that I'm a younger guys like me, we're enjoying whiskey. We like to learn about bourbons. I just found a whiskey bar that I like going to, and learning about stuff. Could this be an event that is 2 times a year? That's 3 times a year? Is that something that you guys thought of? Or are you kind of just taking, one step at a time?
I think we're just taking one step at a time.
Yeah.
It's difficult to really corral, say, the cats, so to speak, and try and get everybody organized to do this. Once a year is, I think, probably where we'll stick. It's been a great time. You mentioned about, the popularity of whiskey. Andre Dawson, great baseball player.
Yeah.
I believe he played for the Chicago Cubs.
Thank you, Chaz. By the way, for people that are watching on TV, Chaz is a Cubs fan like Matt and myself. So this is a good day for us.
Great day. He has a bourbon. So you're really starting to see this extension of bourbon, not only just come out from rock stars. Now it's, sports stars and so forth, and really trying to bring that product into, Americana.
What do you think of that? Because I just had a whiskey from Metallica where it's called a blackened whiskey, and what they
Yeah.
do is they use sound in order to age the whiskey a little bit quicker. They use like what they call rhythmic technology. What do you think about? I mean, seriously, yeah, I know it sounds a little funny. It was a very good bottle.
What are you
though.
drinking?
But that's what they told me.
Right,
That's
right.
what they explained to me, and it was pretty good. But what do you think of? I mean, even The Rock has his own tequila, and Ryan Reynolds has his own gin. Like, what do you think about the popular, like famous people, A-list celebrities getting into the spirit game?
Yeah, I it's great. As long as the product's good, right?
Sure.
Nobody wants to drink something bad, and that's where you sometimes expect, a celebrity might slip in something that isn't so darn good. But I think in general, most of the product that's being produced is actually really good.
Before we get into Let's Drink, I do want to give a shout out because they've been very good to you guys. Crown Royal, Brickway, Havana Garage, and Wall to Wall Wine. Now let's drink some whiskey from Brickway.
Brickway.
Yes.
Yeah,
At 8:08, Bob on the clock, we are drinking and we are cleaning out the pipes. This has a poo.
It's got a little smell, a little
Yeah.
little-
Oh, you know what?
little
Yeah,
peanut
Rachel,
butter.
I might as well. I mean, it's for the show to promote the event
You
coming
have
up on
to.
Saturday at the Hilton. All right.
Salud.
Cheers.
There we go.
Salud.
Cheers, to
Chaz?
16.
Cheers, Chaz. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you for having us on too. And I want to know your guys' opinion about this. This is a new one. We
my
actually launched it for Zach with Brickway. We had an
Yep.
event and everything that went around Omaha Whiskey Fest. So it's the first time that this bottle has been out. And it's fun.
It's
to-
sweet. It's
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
very nicely
very
sweet.
good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
smooth.
Yeah, very, very good product.
Chaz, what is it?
Nice.
100 proof, 120
Yeah.
proof. What was
120 proof.
120 proof?
That's 120
Local.
proof. Wow.
Yeah, 6 years in the barrel. Great product. Zach is
good.
a hell of a craftsman.
It's
He's on a nice little run over there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
There,
yeah.
things
Great
are going
product.
well at Brickway.
it's like chocolatey too.
Yeah,
It's like
Caramely, chocolatey.
Yeah.
has
It's very-
just a really great profile. That's the fun part.
What
about
are you picking up, Gare? Picking up
Huh?
some branch?
All of that. No, I like the sweetness of it. So this
It's great
is
sweetness.
not everybody is a professional whiskey drinker. Some of us are just professional drinkers, period. But for both Rachel and Chaz, when I'm drinking and maybe I'm introduced to whiskey this weekend for the first time, how can I tell if I'm drinking a good whiskey?
Ooh, that's a good question. How do you know you're drinking good whiskey? I can't answer that question, to be honest. I hope you're probably anybody at the festival has got great whiskey, first of all.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I would have to think that, you trying to find your own flavor profile might
Yeah.
be the first thing that you're trying to discern. It could be bourbon, it could be rye, it could be, single malt scotch, which will all be represented. So all of those three have different flavor profiles. So it's really hard to say what is the good whiskey for you. You have to just get in, take
Sample
the
'em all.
glass, like
Yep.
Rachel said, and sample.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I particularly even on the female side of things, I like a strong one, but
Sure.
not everybody does. So it just depends on what you find that you like.
So I'm glad you brought that up because when you guys were in last year, we talked about that with whiskey and the female drinker. It has gone up, like in terms of it's not just a guy's drink.
Sure.
It is now a gal's drink. When they go out, they're not afraid to say, "Hey, I'm going to drink a whiskey." Why are we seeing that uptick? You think from females?
I think it's the craft of it being
Yeah.
a little bit more of a craft cocktail versus just like straight whiskey. You can
Yeah.
mix it, you can make cocktails out of it. So it's a little bit more intriguing for women. Obviously I've been in the liquor industry for years anyways. So it's I love it straight.
Mhm.
I like
Sure.
it strong, but not everybody does, and it gives you an opportunity to sample the base and then be able to make cocktails with it. So I think at least on the female side of that, that's what I would see.
Mhm.
I know it's all preference, and I used to be a guy that loved the rocks, and now I'm off the rocks because I just think it tastes better. Are you guys of the opinion that if you're going to get kind of the full flavor profile of a whiskey, that you kind of have to do it neat, or are there kind of ways to work around maybe the condensation if you're using ice?
I think that a little drop of water in the
okay.
whiskey, it
Oh.
opens up the actual whiskey itself, so you can actually smell the product and it makes it breathe.
Yeah.
So
Wow, that's
adding a
interesting.
drop of water is probably the best way to actually sample straight whiskey if it's not on the rocks.
All right, you being a cigar guy,
Yeah.
what would I pair with this? You think what would go well with this?
I think this right here, this would go very well with a a medium-bodied cigar. I think that a Monte Cristo would be a fabulous product for this. Any of their blends with any of their sizes, depending on the individual. I think also Entrada, which is a cigar that I
Yes.
make.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about my
Yes.
product.
Yeah.
It's a darker wrapper and has a really robust flavor. This would go very well with it.
I'd love to pick your brain on this because this is a sweeter whiskey. It's a
Mm-hmm.
smoother whiskey. So when you're pairing a whiskey with a cigar, are you looking for a contrast? Are you looking for a cigar that, this is sweet, right? So you're looking for a darker one, or are you looking for one that pairs with the flavor? Are you looking for a sweeter cigar?
Yeah, I think when you're looking at cigars, you're looking for the actual pairing of the flavor profile of that cigar with the whiskey. So
Sure.
a darker wrapper tends to be a little bit sweeter. So that tends to have and when I mean sweet, I mean not as like a vanilla or a chocolate.
Sure.
It's just the natural tobacco blends well with a bourbon such as this. You get into something that is a lighter wrapper. You just aren't getting this flavor profile that you want with the bourbons.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
that's the fun part about all of this is it's sampling and trying to find your own path to whatever you might like.
Let me ask you on a little bit of a side note that also ties into Whiskey Fest, Rachel, because you have your pulse on the liquor world in the city of Omaha and surrounding area, and we're drinking Brickway, from Brickway to our good friends at Cross Strain. How and there's so many different options in this community of different companies that do it really well. How is the liquor industry in Omaha doing in 2025, in your opinion?
Oh goodness, I'm not as involved anymore as I necessarily should be, but I would say it's fun. I mean,
Mhm.
again, I think I'm going to go back to where it's the craft cocktails and things like that.
Yeah.
That people are having more fun with it. There's more flavors. There's just a lot of variety for anybody out there that wants to partake, whether it's in again with whiskey or any other type of local beers, anything like that. So I think that it's spread out enough that there's something out there for everybody.
All right, music. Because I got to know the guys from the Celtic band last year that were
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Are they
yeah.
back?
Yeah,
Yes,
the bagpipers.
The
will be back.
bagpipers are
will be
back.
there.
They were
Yep,
great. They
yep.
came in on live. They were Big Red Overreaction. They
Yep,
came on
yep.
performing on the show.
Oh, those are the guys
Yeah.
that you brought up on.
Yes.
Okay.
The pipers.
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be
Yeah.
there.
I'm sure that
Yep.
was
We'll also have the Mojito Brothers. They're out on the cigar lounge,
Mhm.
playing a little Caribbean music. So spice it up with the craft cocktails out there as well as the cigars.
Yeah, it's gonna be great fun with. I mean,
Yeah.
we bring in every time you enter going up the stairs on the escalator, you've got a band playing,
Yes.
you've got bagpipes, you've got something happening.
I will tell, being there last year, and this is the 5th year, and it's from 1 to 5 at the Hilton downtown Omaha, is just the setup. You're not cramped. There's a lot of room to just either sample where there's not people standing on right top of you, but there's a lot of, you could move around. I mean, I think what you guys did with the setup to go to one of those fests, because I've gone to beer fests where, you're just body on body. This was for people that love whiskey and love other people and those kind of events. I think it was a great setup. So in terms of like presentation, anybody in particular that you guys are excited about that is back or is new this year that maybe is bringing a new product or trying or using us in Omaha as a little guinea pig?
I think Crown Royal, who's the
Yeah.
sponsor, they just introduced chocolate Crown Royal. Right,
Mhm.
you heard me right.
It's good.
Crown
It's
Royal
good.
chocolate. It is
it's
really
It's
good.
very
Are you guys
good.
just saying that?
No,
it's
no,
good.
it
No,
is
it's
actually
good.
very
No,
good.
it's very
Okay.
good.
But this will be kind of the first presentation of festival here in Omaha where we're actually bringing that out. So that'll be a big deal. That's fun to see. And I think that a lot of the distilleries in particularly for the VIP time frame from 1 to 2, they bring out a special bottle for the VIP ticket holders. So if you haven't gotten a ticket and you want to go, get the VIP. It's $175. It's well worth the money. You're going to be able to sample product beyond that $175, but we encourage responsible drinking.
Where can people get tickets, Rachel?
OmahaWhiskeyFest.com. You can search it up. It will give you right there. We've got a nice website that's set up. You can see, pictures from the past. You can see our sponsors. But yeah, there's a lot of information that's on there, including the map, where to go, how to Whiskey Fest.
Yes.
We're really invested in making sure you have the best experience you can when you arrive.
Well, I can tell firsthand. The people that I interacted with last year were having a great time. And it's from 1 to 5, the VIP 1 to 2. It's down at the Hilton, OmahaWhiskeyFest.com for all the information. Big thanks to all the sponsors and also all the charities that you guys have brought in that benefit from this great event.
Hey, we want to say a big thanks 1620 as well. You guys were awesome last year. Go Big Red. Big game this year. We will be showing the game at Whiskey Fest for those crazy Husker fans.
Whoa, why did we have to say crazy?
Because we are crazy.
I know. What do you think about today? All right, up 1-0.
Big game.
I know, we're starting with a bullpen game.
Wild card. I'm excited, yeah. Cubs. It was looking pretty tough there the first 5 innings yesterday. I was kind of, wondering what was, it's a little nervous. Then the bats started getting hot. Thank gosh we're at home.
Yeah.
Right?
Rachel and Chaz, thank you very much. We're looking forward to this coming up, the 5th Omaha Whiskey Fest downtown at the Hilton Omaha this Saturday. You can leave the bottle behind. We like the guys at Brickway. They're good.
Really good.
But thank you again. Have a great event. Yeah. And for everybody that has been there, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not, Saturday is the day for you to go to Omaha Whiskey Fest. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jay Moore is coming up here in a little bit. Also, John Walker from the World Herald, not from the Whiskey World, and Brandon Vogel on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back in. Gary and Matt. Just drink this from the bottle.
When in Rome.
Trying to think of, do I have anything of importance today?
I don't.
Yeah, baseball.
You know what?
2 o'clock.
I think I'm with Neanderthal people today, so it'd be okay if I had a little whiskey on my breath.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you want to go golfing with me today? This
I
makes
got
me
the
want to
Cub-
go golfing.
Cubs play it too.
Yeah.
We can get a round in. We should have that. Gary versus Matt, some sort of Masters event where we play like 9 holes and we face off.
You could turn it into a zone event.
We could do that.
Why don't we just have a zone golf tournament?
There you go.
Why don't we talk to Nathan
Hey.
in Ohio, who knows a thing or two about some good whiskey and cigars? Good morning.
I know a lot less than I actually know, but that's fine. So I appreciate it.
Me too.
Hey, I love that line.
Hey,
I live by that line.
Nathan, on the radio, I told you already, but thank you very much for the cigars for the new roommate that moved into our place. So that means a lot.
I mean, you can't celebrate a birth of a child without a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is what I tried to tell my mom when she found them in my vehicle after, and she yelled at me or whatever. It was a whole thing. But anyways, let's not deal with my childhood trauma. How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're doing great. Cubs
Good.
won.
How is your fleet of family doing, though?
We're doing
Okay.
well. We're
Good.
doing well. We added a foster daughter, so it's a little
Congratulations.
acclamation.
So how many now? 19?
No, not that much. Oh Lord, don't put that in the ether.
Well,
No, we're at 10 at our house.
Okay, that's close.
But you have 19, including like the grandkids, right? And the son-in-laws and whatnot.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a big burgeoning family, and I've kind of pseudo adopted a Matt to try to get him on the right track. And by the way, hey, Matt, did you send me? Did you get my my bet that I sent you? The wager.
You sent me a wager? Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
When was it? Was it for this week? If it's for this week, I'm taking
Yeah.
it.
So
Okay.
yeah. So here's the deal. You go gluten free, right? You go gluten free until Nebraska loses.
I'm
All
not
right.
going gluten-free.
And-
Nathan.
Well, you want to hear what you get if you do?
What do I get?
Yeah,
if
you
I
didn't
do
read the
go?
email?
Yeah. What do I get?
You get a box of cigars, and on top of that, an authentic Cuban cigar that's valued at $150.
You're thinking about it now, aren't you?
I need to eat bread, Nathan. I can't go gluten-free. I physically can't. It would
I'm
be
just saying, your gut issues would be fixed. You'd be a
that,
new
that
man.
is true. I do have gut issues. That you're such a good listener of the show. Yes, my acid reflux probably would be better off, and my gallbladder would probably benefit if I didn't put so much gluten into my body. But at the same time, I don't think I could live my life without gluten. So I'm gonna politely decline. But I'll make another bet to get
All
a
right.
$150 Cuban cigar.
I don't think you can do that.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I
work
think
that
this was
way.
a good bet by
This
Nathan.
is a great bet.
Yeah.
You could do it
Yeah.
easier than you
So,
think.
I cannot do that.
Ounce and a half of
Our family
hold on. here.
family is celiac. So
Okay. So here's the other one. So you vouch for the Crown Royal chocolate?
Okay, so yes, you take Crown Royal chocolate, and I developed a shot for our bar. It's 1.5 ounces of Crown Royal chocolate, half ounce of rum chata, and it will change your life.
Okay.
That's hot chocolate. That's just spiked hot chocolate. It sounds like. That sounds incredible.
It's almost like a s'more.
Now we're talking.
That says 11 a.m. game.
Okay.
Perfect.
I believe this yes. Hey, crisp morning, 11 a.m. kickoff. I like where we're going here.
Mhm. Also, they have a new Fireball has a new apple Fireball.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I don't know if you guys have seen this.
No.
No.
So if you take Angry Orchard, we have it on tap at our place. But if you take Angry Orchard, on tap works best, and you do a shot of the apple Fireball in it,
Yeah.
it's great for a crisp cold morning. Not that we've had many crisp cold mornings this
No.
fall.
No. I'll be stopping by Mega Saver to get that. And just go right up there to the counter. And I like that. We used to do Fireball shots before the show back in the day. Matt came aboard and we don't do that anymore.
That's
I'm not
ridiculous.
sure
Yeah, you didn't know
Whoa,
that?
Why
Yeah.
did we stop that?
Yeah. why. Yeah, that was a great way
And
to
I
start
am
the show.
dressed. I am dressed as Marty McMaster. I don't know if you guys saw the email this morning. I just sent it, but We have athletes versus mathletes here, and I dressed up as my alter ego today as a sub is I'm subbing my own classes, by the way, but is Marty McMaster. Bigger, stronger, faster. Yeah. So
Nicely done. Nathan, thank you. It's always great to hear from you.
always a pleasure, my friends.
You had a chance there. That would have been a good win for you.
Yeah, I saw that. I was
Just
like,
go
it's
gluten
tough.
free.
First off,
All
no
right.
way.
You don't have to do it permanently.
No.
It's just
Nebraska might not lose until the 22nd of November.
That's the problem. I'm not.
That's a
gonna
good
go,
6 weeker.
Yeah, I'm not going to go gluten free for 6 weeks. Also, too, the amount of. Do you know how much more expensive gluten free stuff is?
Did you just call a shot? Low key.
Oh, I mean,
6 weeks. Yeah.
Did I?
Yeah.
Well, I think they're going to go 4-0.
There you go.
I've stood by that. I think that this team is good enough to beat teams that are better than them. I don't know if they're ready to take the next step in beating a Michigan or USC, but I firmly believe that they're going to beat the teams that they're favored.
You know, if they were to somehow lose Saturday and you went gluten free, you actually only get a couple days
Yeah,
and you
but
would win.
I would be more pissed.
they lose Saturday, they'll lose 2 more after it
Yeah.
in this month.
Absolutely. I don't see them.
And
going
before
on the
people
road to
jump on me,
Maryland to
I'm not
beat 'em.
talking about the Huskers losing. I'm just advocating for Matt taking the bet.
I'm not taking the bet. I was caught off
That's a
guard
good
there
bet. That's he put something really nice on the line.
I'm still.
Just do it.
I was shocked for a second.
Do it for
because
yourself. Do it for the victory.
My mom's name is Marty McMaster, and so he goes, "I'm dressing up as Marty McMaster." I didn't know if I got doxxed.
Spelled
or
Martie.
Marti.
Okay.
So Martha is her real name.
Everybody just calls her Marty.
Marty or Mart if you're my father.
We'll call Jay more Jay when he joins us next on 1620 The Zone. All right, let's talk some ball, y'all. Let's welcome in our good friend, Jay Moore, who joins us now. Good morning.
Morning, guys. How we doing?
Good. You a whiskey guy?
It's got to be in the winter. So no, I mean I'll dabble it a little bit. I'll tell you what, I'm more of a tequila guy, to be honest.
Why did I strike you as a tequila guy, Jay Moore? Why did
it seemed like all Nebraska football players are tequila guys? Just saying. Maybe something in the DNA.
I don't know. Yeah, I've tried. I've dabbled. It just doesn't.
Are you
No.
are you like an into it tequila drinker? Like you're into it, or
No, I'm not into it. No, I'm not into it. I like it. If someone's like, would you rather have a nice pour of bourbon or a nice pour of a good tequila? I'm gonna take a good tequila. I don't collect it. I don't do anything crazy. Every now and then I'll get a wild hair and buy a decent bottle, have at the house. But I just prefer like a tequila fresca drink or tequila like spicy margarita, like stuff like that. I just don't drink like whiskey or bourbon, and I just it just that's what I prefer. I'm a beer guy, to be honest. That's what I prefer. But if I'm gonna have a some sort of hard alcohol, it's tequila.
All right, let's talk some football here. By the way, great job, you Michael and Sean last night on Big Red Overreaction, or Big Red Wrap Up, with everything that you talked about, and then the tribute to Matty V.
Yeah.
So now into the month of October, bye week. Just get to Saturday. Let's play football, and then we can discuss what looks different. How? And I know what you feel about the program is headed in the right direction. You said that on this show. You said it on Big Red Wrap Up. You sent it to other people while you're golfing, and don't invite me. But how will we judge if Nebraska is getting better the next 4 games? Because everybody's going to say, well, you should win. You're going to be a favorite. How will we judge if, Nebraska learned from Michigan. They're getting better by the time we turn around and play on November 1?
Yeah, I think for me, it's going to start defensively, obviously cleaning up that run game. Just no big plays. We saw big runs from Cincinnati and obviously Michigan, cleaning that up, tackling better, just more hats around the ball. The ball, the offensive ball carrier being funneled into the help, using your leverage better. Foreman hit the nail on the head. Getting a line right and is 99% of good football. Put yourself in a position to win pre-snap, and then knowing where your help is and understanding where you can take risks at, where you can't, where you got to play a little more safe because you're the last line of defense. So that's gonna be number one. It's just you'll be able to tell that more hats on the ball, just better overall tackling, and the ball gets funneled into their help. I think that will be a big key, and then offensively, obviously getting the run game going, but seeing what they're doing early with Dylan. Are they going to get the ball out of his hands quicker, utilize some intermediate short yardage throws to help him out, get in rhythm? Michigan State's not very good against the pass, so helping him going, and then hopefully that'll help loosen up game and they can attack there. And they got to improve on the run game as well. There's no doubt about it. But it's just not a strength. I'm not going to sit here and say all of a sudden Nebraska's offense is going to be rushing for 200 yards plus a game. I just don't think they're built that way with Dylan's ability, at quarterback. His strength is in his arm, and they got weapons at the wide receiver position, and they got, the backup running back situation is still uncertain right now. And O-line, there's some issues too. So I just, overall, both sides of the ball. Special teams, I'm not too concerned about. But overall, it's just efficiency. It's just got to look a little cleaner. More of them on the offense, and just stop that leaky yardage defensively just by being in a better position. I think and I feel confident that we'll see a much more improved defense and a better rhythmic offense on Saturday afternoon.
Since 2021, Nebraska has lost 10 games and where they were favored. 9 of those games have been in the Big Ten. And so 4 of them specifically have been under Matt Rule. 7.5 last year against UCLA, 9.5 against Illinois. They lose both of those games, and both of those games were at home. And I've been a firm believer that the next step for the Nebraska program is beating the teams that you are favored against. And that I know, we talked about the term, but for a lack of a better term, you should win, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As a former player, Jay, how do you balance all right, we're favored and we're favored by 11.5 points, and this should be a game where we control and we dominate, but you also don't just walk into the game thinking, oh, we're going to win. How do you balance the mentality of we got to go out there, but at the same time, we can't let off on the gas? Because that might have been a factor in the past.
Yeah, as a former player, and maybe this is just me. This is maybe how I was taught by even Mark Wortman at Elkhorn: is you respect every opponent and you prepare no matter who you're going against. It doesn't matter if they're good, bad, great, terrible. You approach every game the same way. You don't ever get too high, you never get too low. It didn't matter if at Nebraska, if we were playing Nickel State or USC, that week of practice was approached the exact same way. And I think that's what good teams do is have that approach. Nebraska, I feel confident they're getting to that point to where they're able to approach each week exactly the same. It shouldn't matter if you're playing Michigan, Michigan State, Maryland, Minnesota. It's all the same things. You fix what needs to get fixed. You handle and keep improving on the things that you are good at. But I don't think, as a player, I never, and again, this may be just me. I never knew what the point spread was, to be honest. I never paid attention to it. I just knew I had so many other things to worry about during the middle of the week between football, school, and just being busy. So I just focused on every day was its own deal, right? You approach every day, and every day got broken down to, I got my lift in the morning. Let's attack that. Okay, get cleaned up. I got to go to class. Let's attack that. I got meetings now. Let's attack that. I got practice. Let's attack that. I got I got treatment after practice. Whatever it is, let's attack that. Then I got to finish up this paper. I got a test tomorrow. I got to study for that. Let's attack that. And then boom, you go to bed and you rinse and repeat. And every day is different, but you attack each individual segment of the day. And I think that's just what Nebraska needs to do. Is just you can't. It's big picture wise, you can't get engulfed in it. You just got to attack each little thing. Nebraska's got to attack the practice. They got to attack getting better, stopping the run. They got to make sure they're keeping Childs in the pocket, right? They got to attack each individual aspect of the game and just handle your business that way. And I feel comfortable and I feel confident that they are doing that. It's just they got punched in the mouth a couple weeks ago, and it was a little eye-opening experience, and it's probably good for them. It was a healthy experience to get that done in this part of the season than the back half. So now I think you'll see a team that is matured and is prepared and will handle their business. And if they don't, I heard you guys talking before break. It's like if they come out here and don't handle business, then there's bigger issues at stake here internally. But I feel very confident that Coach Rule and his staff has got these guys prepared and are attacking it the right way.
Why are we going into week 5 and we're discussing who the backup running back is, and the OC says, you're going to see something you've never seen on Saturday? How did we get to this spot?
Yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting comment. I don't know what that means. I mean, you saw them try to do something unique against Michigan with Mosey and Mekhi Nelson in the backfield, kind of using some of that orbit motion kind of stuff. I liked it. It was creative. I don't know what else can be done. I don't know if we're gonna start running the veer wishbone or something like that. With all of a sudden you get Mosey, Quentin Ives, and Mekhi back there. Who knows? Maybe you go straight up I formation, you power I, get back to some old school stuff with some other guys. There's whatever wrinkles we could potentially throw in there that we haven't seen so far. I don't know, but they got to figure it out, and it's just too much for Emmett to take on throughout Big Ten play. I mean, the amount of carries, and I know they utilize him in the passing game as well. He's only one man. He can only take so many hits and so many carries. We need him. We need him for the rest of the year to be healthy and be fresh. But you got to have that guy. I mean, all great teams have kind of a 1-2 punch. Nebraska, for decades had, a stable. I said it last night. We played 4 running backs when I was at Nebraska between Kenny Wilson, Marlon Lucky, Cody Glenn, Brandon Jackson. Nebraska in the past, Damon, Amon, Clinton Childs, Lawrence Phillips, right? You have a plethora of options, and Nebraska just, I don't know if it's uncomfortable if with the play calling and they don't know how they fit, but I mean, I got to think Makai's got to be the guy, and then if you need another guy, then you have Mosey or Quentin Ives. But yeah, that was a peculiar comment by him, so I don't know what that means, but who knows? With the bye week and you give coaches some time, there could be some unique wrinkles, but sometimes that's can be a blessing and a curse at the same time.
No, one thing that I don't think we've really seen in the last 3 weeks or in the last 3 games for Nebraska that we saw in week 1 is Emmett Johnson as much in the passing game. And I think heading into the season that we thought that you'd have a lot of swing passes or orbit motions or something that would get him, outside toward the alley, before the ball is even snapped, that, acts as an extension of a run game. And we haven't seen a lot of Ja'Cory Barney end arounds or jet sweeps or any of those jet touch passes that he was doing last year. Do you think that maybe they've been saving that up for Big Ten play, that there could be more of an extension of a run game type play calls in the future?
I hope so. I really where that needs to happen is more probably in the scoring area in the high red zone. I think they got to get a little more creative down there when Dylan isn't a threat to keep it and run, and maybe they utilize him just a little more to give the defense a threat. But you get in that position, you're kind of you want to get your ball in your best player's hands, and whether it's Ja'Cory, Emmett, Dane Key, Dylan, obviously. You want to utilize those guys down there, and they've tried many times. They love that slot fade to Ja'Cory. They've missed on it a bunch of times, right? I mean, the Dane Key touchdown on the 4th down play was fantastic in Cincinnati. But utilizing Ja'Cory, on some jets, I love the shotgun pop pass to a guy coming in jet sweep, getting him on the edge, just little things like that. I also love if Nebraska could get into a fullback look or even a split back option where, you get a guy under center and kind of fakes the fullback or running back and then turns around and pitches it with his opposite hand, kind of get him going one way and he pop back to the other side. Just little things like little wrinkles because they're not good down there right now. They got to get better, and they're going to be able to move the ball on Michigan State on Saturday between the 20s. But when you get in there and if that field condenses, you got to get a little more creative and get your ball into your best player's hands.
What about just blocking? Like it's a mindset, like offensive line. You have a short distance. You have 5 guys, head down, move forward. I mean, that might sound easy for us on the radio to say, hear me armchair quarterback, but isn't that also a reality of offensive line? This is where you shine, is in the red zone?
Yeah, it is. You're not wrong. It is definitely harder than it sounds like. Just block them, knock them back 2 yards, right? They're talented. They're coached well. They got scholarships as well that they're giving out. They have money that they're getting players to play at a high level. And it's something, sometimes you're going to win, sometimes lose, but you got to understand when you get down there too, is blocking schemes that that your guys like, whether it's zone, power, counter, duo, whatever it might be, to put your guys in the best position to win. I'm excited to see what Pritchett does. I hope he starts on Saturday. I think they got to get him in there and utilize his athletic ability. But there's all sorts of wrinkles you put in there. But yeah, that's the beauty of the offensive line, defensive line. It's one-on-one, and if you are double teamed, you understand how you handle it. You got to fight as a defensive lineman. You fight through it because you know that double team's usually coming off because he's gonna go second level to a linebacker. But they got to be better. They got to be a little nastier. They got to be more efficient. They got to work better together. They got to communicate better. And I know they worked on it this last week. And I'm excited to see an improved product from that offensive line.
Jay, you talked about the key touchdown. Gary was talking about blocking, and it reminded me of a great quote from a former Big Ten defensive coach that RPO is the purest form of communism. Nebraska has used RPO in the red zone. In your opinion, watching those snaps, should they double down on it? Should they use a little bit more RPO in the red zone to give themselves more options? Or do you think maybe from your eyes, is it something that maybe is confusing them a little bit, or maybe they're not ready to run consistently in the red area? Your observations on that?
Yeah, I mean, they could definitely utilize it more. I'm always a fan of putting your defensive guys in conflict and seeing how good they are disciplined with their eyes. I always talk about eye discipline, and anytime you put your defensive guys in, just the fourth down play to Danke at Cincinnati, that was an RPO, right? He held that ball into Emmett's stomach for a long time and just held, I think, that outside linebacker just enough to create space in that gap for Dane to kind of get in that slant area and complete that pass. So I love RPO. I mean, I like it. I mean, even saw it with kind of in Cincinnati, Dylan with Luke Lindemeyer, where they got down to the almost, I think, to the 1 yard line, and there was a false start on Pritchett on that scenario where I think they got a field goal anyways. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. I just know that as a defensive player, you read that mesh point and you got to trust it. And if they do a good job of holding it, you have to trust it, and you kind of keep them flat-footed to where you can get just a crease or whatever, a little angle, just another half a second to get them. That's all it takes at this level. So I'm a huge fan of it, and I would expect to see more of it in an evolution of it the rest of the season.
All right, different from football. What the hell happened to Beth Page over the weekend?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was ugly. I know the course setup, people didn't like it. And the greens are way too soft. US has always historically had the rough low at all their places. You can look at it. Europe got hot, man, and they couldn't stop them. And they made a ton of putts. I think I saw that in the first 2 days, Europe was like 33 under, 34 under par, and US was like 22 or 23 throughout the first 2 days. That's bananas. The amount of putts that Europe made, that was crazy. But it's crazy how, I mean, I love the fact that they battled back and they had a chance. And I think if Russell Henley makes one of those last 2 putts, I think US comes back from 7 points and wins that damn thing. It was slipping away. But it was just too much too early. And you can say the pairings and whatever it is. But let's be honest, Europe was top to bottom was a stronger team. Look at the amount of majors and the experience in Ryder Cup. Keegan being first-time captain, and I know he had some decent help from assistant captains, but a lot of those guys hadn't played. And I mean, Cam Young played his tail off, a first-time Ryder Cupper. Love that they put him up first and got that initial point there. But you got to play better on Friday, Saturday to give yourself a better chance on Sunday. But rinse and repeat, and we'll see what happens in a couple more years.
Hey, appreciate it as always. Great stuff last night. Also, Jay being on the show, for all you guys chopping up. Really enjoyed it. That was good to have in the bye week, and as always, great to have you on Wednesday morning.
Yep. See you guys. Talk to you next week.
That's Jay Moore, former Black Shirt, Elkhorn, Antler. He brought up the legend, Mark Wortman, this morning. How about that? Legendary coach, six state titles at Elkhorn, who was Jay's coach. Good stuff in there from Jay.
I love I don't know. I like it when a defensive player says they like RPO so much, because I think it shows how much respect they have for that type of play call. Because typically, I was expecting the opposite. I thought Jay would be like, it's so dumb. Why can people block down the field and you can still throw the ball? There shouldn't be this imaginary 2 yard line of scrimmage. The fact that he was like, no, it's sick and it's hard. I think that was really funny. I think
it creates chaos.
They should use it more in the red zone. I think they executed at a pretty high level, in my opinion.
You said something on the stream about what they can do in the goal line, and I'm all for it.
Well, I'm wondering if we see the whole discussion about the running back. Oh, it's not like they just acquired somebody off the waiver wire and it'll be somebody we haven't seen. I'm wondering if it might be the I formation with an extra blocker, and it's not just Harburg. Echternach is another guy they brought in to be an extra blocker. I don't know, maybe Riley Van Poppel. Maybe Turner Corcoran.
Maybe Lenhart. Lenhart's people terrible when he lined up.
They did that against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Or Nebraska runs a 2-back set. So they've never.
Get me all hot and bothered here.
I don't know if they've ever run a 2-back set when Dylan's been the quarterback. But if you notice, when Latif has been in a quarterback, they've run a 2-back set. I don't know if that's the future of the offense with Latif, and they want to get a look at it. But Nebraska doesn't run a 2-back, not an I, but a 2-back. They ran it when Latif is in the game. They don't run it with Dylan. Maybe that. I mean, we're all speculating. It could be something that they're just throwing out there for Michigan State to think about. Because it's unless all of a sudden Booth or Parker are like, hey.
I was going to say.
I mean, we're 5 games in. I think it's just a variation on what they've maybe shown that they're going to show even more. Or they may not be nothing and it's just a smoke screen. And good job, Dana. We'll see you in Hollywood. All right, that's a good acting job.
With
Nicely
Sierra
done.
Wright, the actor.
Yeah. All right, last hour's upcoming. John Walker will join us 33 days away from the basketball season. Plus, Brandon Vogel will stop by. If Childs gets his, what does Dylan get?
His plus more, hopefully.
Could be a day where you put up some big crooked numbers when you have the wind at your back as a quarterback, and people go, all right, let's throw Dylan in. He'll be 9th on my Heisman list.
Field position.
Yeah.
9th.
They got to win. They got to have a staple win. He's got the moment. He's got the stats. He doesn't have the win. I can't give a guy an award if he doesn't have a win.
If he has like a monster 4-touchdown, 300-yard game, he better be higher than 9. He better be higher than 9.
Be on the list. He's not on the list right now. I'll just take being on the list. Baby steps. All right. Last hour's upcoming of Gary and Matt after this on 1620 The Zone. Football is back tomorrow. Good Thursday night game. Rams and the Niners.
Yeah,
Brock Purdy going to play?
hopefully, because then it won't be a good Thursday night game.
Did you see the clip of Matthew Stafford, a touchdown against the Colts, where he, with his eyes, messed with the
Yes.
defense, and then immediately when he threw the touchdown pass?
He's been doing that since Detroit.
Mm.
Everybody gives, and I love your quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trashing your quarterback by any means of the imagination, but everybody says like, oh, the Mahomes no look pass. Matthew Stafford has been doing that since 2014. Hall of Famer.
All right, let's welcome in. It's like Christmas because now we beginning on the Omaha.com 17 Days of Jays. We will have a Wednesday of John, who joins us now. John Walker from the Omaha World Herald. Good morning.
Hello. Yeah, this is your official Jays Vent calendar to count you down until the Iowa State exhibition. And today is one of 17 to hold you over till then. So what's up, guys? How are you?
Good. For people that don't know, 17 Days of Jays. It's kind of like the Hanukkah thing. Which Creighton newcomer is most likely to have a breakout season?
Hanukkah thing. They're not lighting a candle.
Advent calendar. I got my. I've done a good job of being Jewish today.
So yes, you have. You wanted to have your own bar mitzvah. I got a question for you. Number one on the Jay-Z, and then what? Jay Leno, and then Jay Farrow, and then
Jay Farrow's got to be up there because he can do like all of them.
Yeah.
Right. Like he can be all of those people in a way.
Can I give you Jay Cutler?
He's in jail.
Jay Cutler, Broncos
Yeah, he's
legend,
currently in jail.
Jay Cutler.
He's in jail
Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
to. You got to serve 4 days.
for what? What did he
Oh.
do?
DUI.
Oh, okay. Jeez, never mind.
Only 13 days of Jays, I guess.
well
Very,
played.
very well played.
Nicely done. We're 33 days from the start of the college basketball season. So CBS Sports Network, they did a little anonymous poll on the best X's and O's guy in college basketball. Really not a surprise that the man that's at UConn and the man that's at Creighton were high on that list. They're actually two of the top three. And we talked about this when the schedule came out and where the days of the week that the UConn Creighton game was placed. And maybe it's a East Coast Conference. They don't want to recognize a Midwest school, but that Midwest school, I believe, has won 9 of the last 12 against UConn. Why doesn't the Big East embrace the UConn Creighton rivalry more? They got two great coaches. They got two really good programs.
Good question.
I really couldn't tell you. It's somewhat baffling. Like it's just as baffling as the UConn St. John's matchups not being marquee. Like if you're the Big East, those are your selling points. Your top 3 teams in the league this year are going to be UConn, St. John's, Creighton. You would think that every matchup between the two, especially the matchup that gets Dan Hurley to call someone baldy, would be more celebrated by the league. And so, yeah, it's just so odd because the one in Omaha is on Saturday. I believe the one in Stores is on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
But like last season, they were both. That Saturday one in Omaha will be phenomenal. We know it will be. You can bank on that now. But man, don't you just wish there was a little bit more juice?
Yes.
Yeah.
To it. Or I'm sorry, because last year I think UConn was on a Saturday when they played in Stores.
And then it was on a Tuesday or Wednesday here.
Tuesday or Wednesday, yeah. And like Creighton fans got up for that one because UConn was in town and Greg McDermott bought however many pizzas, and they did the blue out, I believe, or the stripe out. I can't remember which one. And so like Creighton fans got up for it. That was never going to be a question with Dan Hurley and the gang coming to town. But I don't know well enough to know if the same applies in Stores. You know what I mean? I'd assume it does. Like they've had their fair share of basketball success through the first half of this decade, and that's something that I'm assuming fans Northeast want to watch. But I haven't been, I don't know. So like both of those matchups, this is a long meandering way of saying the UConn, St. John's, UConn Creighton, St. John's Creighton, like all of those games deserve to have the spotlight. And some of them certainly do, but I wish all of them did.
Do you want a rifle action question or do you want a Greg McDermott question?
Surprise me.
Okay, I want to read this quote from the article that Gary was talking about. This was I think this was from an anonymous person who voted on this about Greg McDermott. He goes, he's extremely hard to prepare for. He's the best in-game play caller in the country, and he hides his play calls better than anybody, so you never know what's coming. Have you talked to Coach McDermott about the layering of his play calls, the fact that he, how he disguises play calls, how he hides play calls? And if you haven't, maybe just talk about your experiences watching Creighton and maybe, the just randomness at times that could turn into really, really, really good offense.
Yeah, well, it's kind of started with everything on the floor the past couple of years. And I'm not saying that to take away from what Greg McDermott does on the sideline, but they go into every game with such a thorough game plan. And when you have point guards like Ryan Nembhard, like Stephen Ashworth, both very heady in their own right, and you have other playmakers on the floor like Ryan Kalkbrenner, Trey Alexander, Baylor Shireman, it's easy to trust those guys.
Sure.
So Mac doesn't need to stand on the sideline and scream out the play or super visibly hold up a fist and a certain amount of fingers to signify a play, because he's on the same page as his point guard, as his playmakers, and the playmakers are more often than not on the same page as Mac. That's one of the big things this year with so much newness. How long does that aspect take to get nailed down? But no, I've talked to a couple of assistants, a GA who was with the program, a former GA, and they've both sat in on those offensive meetings. Like, they help put the offensive plans together. And they're like, there are very few scenarios that we are not prepared for. So I really think a lot of it comes down to the pregame planning, like the game plan itself. But then when they do get in game, like, obviously Greg McDermott is phenomenal at making adjustments, but it's like not necessarily an adjustment. Like, it's just something different. It's what they've done. I know I just described an adjustment. But they're not like drawing stuff in the sand on the fly. They practiced that. They expected it more often than not. So yeah, I read that yesterday. I'm not, period, exclamation point, not surprised Greg McDermott is on there. I mean, guys, I've only been writing about this intricate, innovative offense for 2 years now. And so glad to know the rest of the country agrees with me.
So let's talk some defense then. Iowa wasn't great defensively. Two guys probably going to start from Iowa. Charlotte wasn't great defensively. Howard wasn't super great defensively in the MEAC. How long before it's answered is this team going to get stops consistently? Because that'll be the question. How long do you think it'll take before we'll have an answer to that question?
It's going to be so hard to judge that. And I'm not giving you the politician answer. I'm giving you the thought process I've had. It's going to be so hard to have a set timeline. It needs to happen quickly. I'm not saying that they can take their time. I just think they might. Because now they're putting pieces together, or they're putting a lineup together with pieces that weren't even here 6 weeks ago, right? Like, let's talk about the immediate solution at the 5, because Owen Freeman's out. He'll be back around the Iowa State exhibition. But until then, like, what do? You can't just practice with 4 and have Owen walk through the 5. Like, that doesn't help anyone. So they're trying to get Kerem Conan up to speed. And it looks like to play some temporary 5 until Owen gets back, and then maybe some backup. We'll see what happens. But that's why it's going to take a while. They'll kind of settle into who they think they are in the short term. And then when Owen Freeman is fully cleared, they'll have to let him get settled in and then re-find themselves as a group with the starting center back in the mix. So that's why I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't. And I certainly do not expect the team that we see play Nebraska the first week of December to be the team we see by the end of January. Like, we know how that goes.
Yeah,
We know how Creighton plays in January. And I think that this season, more than recent memory, we will see such a stark difference from the team at the beginning of the season to the team at the end.
See, we've been talking about this Creighton team from a defensive perspective a lot because, and rightfully so.
Mhm.
Look, you lose Ryan Kalkbrenner, but the guy that they replaced with him definitely doesn't make up for what he left on the defensive end. But Owen Freeman is someone that I think can be incredibly versatile on the offensive end. How do you think the offense will look different with Freeman in there as opposed? I feel like we don't talk about how maybe could they run some split action? Could they run some rifle? Could they run some sets where they give Freeman the ball, in between the wing and the elbow and kind of let the shooters run around him and play some two-man game? I mean, do you think that Owen Freeman kind of opens up the menu in a way for Greg McDermott in this offense?
Yeah. I certainly think so. Like, Ryan Kalkbrenner was really good with his back to the basket, but it's hard not to be at 7-1. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's a turnaround and lay-in more often than not. Owen Freeman is a few inches shorter, a little bit lighter, I believe. So he's different. I would describe him generally as crafty with his back to the basket. But I think we saw last year at Iowa, he expanded his game a bit, and that included spacing the floor. He didn't shoot very many threes, but when he did, he looked comfortable doing that. And obviously those opportunities will come in Greg McDermott's system. But I certainly think so. Like, Greg McDermott ran sets through Ryan Kalkbrenner last year. You don't have to be a point guard to be an initiator at all. And Owen Freeman, as good as he is with his back to the basket, that allows him to be a versatile and able passer as well. He's not Zach Edey. He's not going to tower over everyone on the block and immediately, draw a double team and know exactly where the open person is. But Owen Freeman is a very capable, very able passer, and that should only help him in a Greg McDermott system that consistently produces three-point shooters.
Hey, we'll get you out here on this. And with the same poll that's up on CBS Sports, Matt Painter was number one on this list. And he's going to find himself in a lot of places where they're the preseason number one team. What would a cutting down the nets do for the narrative around Matt Painter?
Oh my God. It would completely change it. Like, I don't know. You have these Hall of Fame coaches, right? Like Greg McDermott, Hall of Fame, right? Like, deserves to be in the college basketball Hall of Fame. I think, especially for what he's done at Creighton. Matt Painter deserves to be in the college basketball Hall of Fame. So, like, we're not questioning whether at this point in their careers, we're not questioning whether these coaches are good. We're questioning where they rank all time. That's the point that we've gotten, especially with Matt Painter. He's gone to a Final Four. He's done literally everything, and I mean everything, except win a national championship. So if you add that to his resume, what can you say?
Yeah, sure.
Like, what could you say against him? I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time. That's not, I'm not saying that his resume is bulletproof. But what could you say? There'd be nothing less to say. I'd do it.
And the narrative is, it can't win the big one, but they've. I mean, I think he's gotten further away from being upset by FDU. Always have that on the resume, but since then they have gone probably as far as you would think they would go in March Madness.
Yeah, I'd certainly think so. We'll always ask what if on the Edey Kalk matchup from a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah.
That 18-0 run, man, kept us from getting it.
Yeah, and Rick Barnes shows up on this list as well. Have you voted in the preseason Big East media poll yet?
No, I have not.
Oh,
I
okay.
have not.
Okay.
I probably got to get on that, huh?
Yeah, I would, and you don't have to reveal your vote, but
You have to review your vote.
who do you think will be? No, okay, let's do this instead of like teams, because everybody's going to kind of have the assortment of the top three, and it's probably going to look UConn, St. John's, Creighton.
Right.
Who's going to be the preseason player of the year in the Big East?
That's a great question.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
Zuby, Ejiofor.
Okay, I
It'll be
would.
Zuby.
Who'd they get from God dang it, John Walker, from Providence? Didn't they
Bryce Hopkins.
Bryce Hopkins. Yeah, we've got to see him play more than 10 games before we talk about anything. But a hell of a player. Of a player. I grew up a Kentucky fan and watched Bryce in his first couple of seasons at Kentucky. One, he's been playing that long, and two, like he's just that talented. Like Cal never really played him except sparing minutes his freshman year. Then he transferred, and then the injury, and then another injury. Yep. So yeah, it's been a bad beat for Bryce Hopkins. I would love to see him make it through all of this season. I hope he does. Because if he stays healthy, him and Zuby might be one of the best front courts in the country. And I think Zuby will be the preseason player of the year.
He's gotten a ton better since he played in high school, but the way he plays now is the same exact way he played when he was at Fenwick. I mean, he was just absolute dominant, front facing, only back to the basket if he was spinning, trying to get to the rack. I mean, he's a guy that, you're right, if he can stay healthy, I think he's definitely one to watch because he's got some great gifts for sure.
Hey, I don't know if you guys got to get to a commercial break. Do you guys want to talk about today's 17 days of Jays? Do you want to talk about it real quick?
Sure. Have you already written all these, or are you going like?
No, I haven't written all of them. I was out of town this past weekend for quite a little bit for my birthday. So I didn't have enough time to write all of them. I've written the first five or six, and I'm gonna do the rest today.
Okay. Which one's your favorite that you've written so far?
Either tomorrow's or the next day is Creighton's record against all Big East teams since it joined the league.
Okay.
Some of those series are a lot closer, and in some instances, a lot worse than you thought they were. I guess specifically, like one that caught my eye was Villanova, because as Creighton was rebuilding after it lost, Doug and all of them, Villanova was on a tear. So, like, knowing what Villanova is now and what Creighton is now, looking at that yesterday, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Which makes sense, but it's just not something you really think about until you see it written down. But today's was the breakout player. I contemplated adding a qualifier at the bottom, and then I just didn't. But the prompt was essentially, the prompt I came up with was like, which newcomer will have a breakout season? And I didn't think Josh Dix fit into that. Like, one of the top portal prospects can't break out. I didn't think Owen Freeman fit in that conversation for the. Yeah, I mean, if he scores like 30 a game, I'll fight. That's a breakout, man.
I mean, if he scores like 13 a game, that'd actually be great in a breakout for him.
Josh Dix?
No, Ty Davis.
Not a newcomer.
Oh, I didn't know. My bad. I didn't see the qualifier. My bad.
So yeah, Josh Dix, just like, we expect him to be good.
Yeah.
Same with Owen Freeman.
Yeah.
I think guys like Blake Harper and Hudson Greer might have too much of a log jam on the wings for either one to be considered a true breakout. And so I thought about the guy with ample opportunity, and nobody fits that more than Nick Graves. So yeah, there's your first day of Jays and the reasoning behind it, and we'll have 16 more of them.
Hey, Hudson Greer isn't going to redshirt, right? Because I'm buying some stock. He's going to play, right?
I don't think so. Like, I think he's too good to play. And I think we've I think we've talked about it on here before. Like, what's the point in redshirting guys nowadays? So they can have that extra year of eligibility for another program. I'm not saying Hudson's going to transfer, just generally.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to develop you. We're going to, sit and watch this year. We're going to put a lot of effort into you outside of our regular game plan and our game schedule. And then see ya. Like that just doesn't that doesn't make sense. So I think he's too good to redshirt. But we'll certainly see. We'll know a lot more after the Iowa State exhibition. And you'll have 16 more days of Jays to get you till then.
Can't wait. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys.
It's John Walker from the Omaha World Herald. Santa J.
Santa J. That's what you're
on
calling
the
him.
first day of
Jays
17 days of
miss.
Jays.
No, on the first days of Jays miss, John Walker gave to me a breakout list of 4.
You know what's wild is Nebraska's won 2 of 3 against Creighton.
I actually thought about that yesterday.
Yeah, you know what? I was.
Hey, do we have to erase the whiteboard how many days it's been since Gary brought up that Nebraska beat Creighton? I think we
One-man battle here, man.
What do you
It's
mean
like-
one-man battle?
It's like me against the Germans that bombed Pearl Harbor.
You're not.
I
okay,
said I would
first off,
honorarily
that's-
join you on
first
that
off,
one.
yeah.
That's a
You
great
can
Animal
adopt
House.
Nebraska basketball.
Hell yeah.
Germans can bomb Pearl Harbor Animal House.
Are you
Okay?
sure?
I'm positive. It wasn't over when they did it either.
You can go see the house next
AI
season.
it. You may be
Right.
surprised.
You know what? After what's been happening with AI, I think I'm going to stay away from that apparatus.
Okay, so by Hudson Greer going to be a player. People kind of forgot about him because he committed early. He's a dude.
Okay.
There are 2 things that need to be brought up
Is this
around
The
here.
Simpsons?
You won't know this.
There are 2 things that need to be brought up on a continuous basis around here, just to remind people that sometimes sports don't go the way that you think they're going to go.
Okay.
And I just like to remind people, whether it's crazy or not, or it's just factual, I like to say it's factual, that Nebraska basketball has beaten Creighton 2 of the last 3 times. Now, and both games have been in Omaha.
Yes, that is. Both are very true.
Fred contacted Mac in the summer and said, "Hey, I think PBA is going to be busy that day. I think there's like a monster truck rally going on.
Yeah, that'd be
Could we
great.
come and play in
Hell
Omaha?"
yeah.
So
Make the trip.
So just because people go, wait a minute, they're not in the same kind of program. But yeah, that's true. Do you want another one that just blows my mind away?
What, John
that
Hole had more field goals than Ryan Kalkbrenner did the next day?
That was wild.
Ryan Kalkbrenner had 1 field goal. John Hole had 2 field goals the next day.
I thought
for
I misread.
Nebraska.
Sometimes you get mono.
yeah, stop pissing people.
Somebody said the left tackle that's out for Michigan State, it's mono.
Ooh, what? Ooh.
Yeah. So Michigan State's had a guard that's been out all year.
Yeah, it's
now
a
their
month.
left tackle is not playing on Saturday. He's out a month, but he might have mono.
That could be
Yeah.
terrible, by the way, for
Yeah.
the football team. Like that, ends seasons. Didn't that happen to the Jets a couple of years ago?
Well, that's their football team. How does this benefit Nebraska? This could really
Well, they
benefit
don't
them
have their
well.
left tackle.
Yeah.
So that means Kassan McCullough will line up over there and, maybe touch the shoulder of a quarterback.
I'm not into the should win category. Nebraska's not gotten my trust. But here's the other stat that'll blow you away.
Okay.
Would you guys like to name the last full-time Nebraska football coach that beat Iowa?
Frank stole it. No, it was Bo. I was at that game.
It was
Sorry.
Bo.
The last full-time Nebraska football coach to beat Iowa.
It was Bo.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was at that game. It was fun.
What? You don't like Mickey?
Mickey was an interim. Last full-time
I mean, he technically is a full-time
football coach that is the head coach and was the head coach.
Is Mickey still talking about his band?
Band.
Remember that? They brought him up for the Ohio State game.
Oh, he's got a great band.
And
Grambling's got an incredible band. The Ohio
hell
State and
yes.
Grambling
Yes.
bands put on a show after the game was over.
It was on TikTok.
I know,
Gotta
that's
send
what I'm
to me.
saying. Like that's the only time I've heard from Mickey all year is him just talking about the fact that he knew he was going to get his butt whooped against Ohio State. Which Mickey is the same guy who
you do.
said after the Oklahoma game that Nebraska needs to get dudes like Oklahoma to the entire media corps.
Was he wrong?
No, God, no at all. I've never
They're
seen.
3-2.
Wow, good for Mickey.
No, they're 3-2. 0-1 in their conference. All right, they're off this weekend.
Who they play next weekend?
They got Texas Southern
Nebraska will be rooting
in
for KU this
in
week.
Louisiana.
Who's KU playing?
Central Florida.
Oh,
in Orlando.
Yep.
I'm more focused on the North Carolina Clemson game. That's going to be a S show. That's going to be a gong show.
Yeah, when these games were on the schedule years ago, we thought, man, North Carolina, Clemson, it'll probably be Sweeney and Belichick. And then we thought Michigan,
Absolutely.
Wisconsin would be a really good game.
We did. We
Oh,
thought
yeah.
Alabama,
Paul Christmas,
Wisconsin was
Harbaugh?
going to be a great
Well,
game.
now we got Alabama, Vanderbilt as a game of interest to a lot of people. All right, Brandon Vogel is around the corner as well to wrap up this Wednesday edition. We're in Matt on 1620 The Zone. All right, it is another day of baseball. Playoff baseball is fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
Baseball, Matt. I got my I got my ball knower card today.
Yeah.
You gave it to me.
No, that's good. You're an observer.
And a
Now we're
Cubs
using
fan.
an opener for game number 2.
But are you a Bud man?
No, I'm a Miller.
I know.
Man.
You and you.
I did Captain Dansby to perform again today.
He was awesome. That, I mean, everyone's gonna remember him running into the outfield and turning around on that awesome catch. But that fielder he picked up and then held the runner at third. Oh,
twice with the glove and then with the bat. So the Cubs and the Padres play today. The Tigers and the Guardians play again.
The difference is if the Cubs win today, there is no game 3 at Jack Murphy. It's over.
No, you don't have to worry about Leon Durham's glove. I don't know if Cleveland can get the bats going, but Skubal was great yesterday. By the way, as good as Skubal was, and he's calm, cool, and collected, and 7 1/3, struck out 14. Crochet's performance was better, in my opinion, last night.
Old school. 117 pitches.
he retired 17 straight batters.
Yep.
I mean, that's incredible.
You know, there has not been a complete game thrown in the postseason since Verlander did it in the 17 ALCS.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute. Was he pitching for my team?
So Rodon, I'm thinking, man, Rodon might have to pitch 9 innings tonight against the Red Sox for the Yankees to even that series up. We haven't had a complete game. And even Crochet, when he got taken out after 117 pitches, thank you, Alex Cora, for going with your gut. They were only in the 8th. So it wasn't like he was on the cusp of a complete game.
Yeah.
Big time by Chapman, too. Bases loaded with no outs.
He's been really good this year. He's been filthy.
Did you guys hear about that story?
Cubs World Series.
That apparently, Buster Olney wrote this, that apparently Aroldis Chapman didn't start thinking about locating his fastball until this season.
That wouldn't surprise me.
It took him hearing the pitch comm, to be inside fastball. And he was like, oh, I'm going to throw my fastball on the inside.
I can
isn't that kind of insane though, that a guy who has had a borderline closer Hall of Fame baseball career, who has been a dude since I was 8 years old pitching for the Cincinnati Reds,
same when I was
like that, all of a sudden it's taken him 14, 15 years of playing baseball to think, oh, I'm actually going to put my pitch on the inside or my pitch on the outside.
He was impressive. That was tough. Not everyone could get out of that.
He's had an interesting career. He was suspended for domestic violence. He was seen groping his own mom's breasts.
I mean,
he's had a hell of a year with the Red Sox. I mean, he was lights out this entire season, and then in the 9th inning.
I mean, he was dead to rights at one point in his career. He was done, and then he went to Texas and he resurrected it.
Charles on the stream. When you throw absurd gas, you don't need to worry about locating.
I still think that's incredible, though, that you can be a pitcher at that high of a caliber for so long in the MLB, and you just never thought of oh, I'm going to actually put my fastball up high. And you're just throwing down the middle every time, and you're just able, because you just have so much spin and velocity that they just can't touch it.
He's only 37.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
I thought he was 74.
He looks. I know this from
He's
my
been around for a
interaction.
while.
I know this, man. It's it's tough with Cubans to play. Take them to the state fair.
Yeah.
And say, hey, play the weight and age game.
Good morning, Danielle.
Okay.
That is very true.
Because some Cubans age quicker than others. And then some are they're in their 50s, but they look like they're in their 30s. So if I was the person running that stand at the state fair where where I guess your weight or your age, I would just get a bunch of Cubans to win a bunch of toys.
That's what we did.
Bring them there and go.
Just keep saying 56.
How old and how much do they weigh? Because he's only 37, but he's been, like a lot of Cubans that they begin their professional career really, really early. I mean, Chapman's been pitching in pro ball for a long time.
Yeah.
But he's a flamethrower, man. Last night he was wheeling and dealing. Get out of that situation where the Yankees have the bases loaded and they don't score a run.
I was nervous.
Insanity.
I don't even have a dog in the fight.
By the way,
the Yankees might be done. I see that Chisholm is causing problems.
Is Booney done? That's what I wonder. Well, and not just me, but everybody in my family, including the apprentice.
What, Aaron Boone?
Yeah.
After winning 94 games this season?
I'm not saying I agree with it.
They haven't been able to change that 27 for a while.
I know. I mean, I get that, and I understand the expectations are higher when you have such a historical franchise.
Yeah, I don't agree
and a guy
with it,
that spends a ton of money. But what is a mark of a bad fire? They get hired immediately. Aaron Boone would get hired immediately. immediately if he were to get
Hell, I'd
fired.
take him.
What the Red Sox have
Over-
won 9 of 11 in the playoffs against the Yankees when they faced them.
I like Joe.
Going back
before
to
you say
04.
I was gonna say.
I like Joe, but I think a lot of Aaron Boone. I really do. I
Do you
just
think we'll
it's-
get? Brian Christopherson made a great point yesterday. Scrolling through the Netflix, like all the different movies that you can watch, there's like 4 different Red Sox documentaries on there,
And
It's
there's going to be a new
ridiculous.
one on ESPN. Download the app because they're taking everything, including inside the NBA.
I'm already paying that. I'm paying $29.99 now to get my ESPN, Hulu, and Disney Plus,
That's why you need
and
that
my
Creighton show.
WWE.
That's where that post game show comes.
I got to watch the PLEs. I got to watch John Cena wrestle Gunther at Saturday night's main event in Washington, D.C., the most random ass location and random ass opponent for the greatest wrestler of all time.
All right. I will ask Brandon Vogel about a wrestling match. Nebraska might face the best wide receiver they've faced all year coming up on Saturday. What will that wrestling match look like?
Be windy.
Be entertaining.
Yeah. I think
Big risk.
up to this point, Marsh is the best wide receiver that Nebraska's faced. Marsh and Kelly are a good combo. Wide receiver, tight end. That's what Childs will be throwing to.
Yeah, good
and
coach.
handing the ball off to Mekhi Frazier. We'll get to the Michigan State breakdown with Mr. Sparty. Brandon Vogel from Counter Read coming up next. All right, we welcome in our Wednesday friend. We got lots to catch up with. Brandon Vogel of Counter Read. Good morning.
Brandon.
I think
Brandon.
Got me?
Got you.
Yep. That was
All right.
That was my fault.
Apologize. Good morning.
How's it going?
Good. Let's just jump right into this about Michigan State, because I think we've talked enough about Michigan. All I hear is about Childs and the ability to extend plays with his legs. Now, he's had a nice year throwing the football. Anything else about Michigan State's offense that we should discuss on a Wednesday? Because nothing really else is talked about. It's more, well, what is Nebraska going to do defensively?
Yeah, I think so. I think the most interesting angle defensively for Nebraska is less so Childs, though you have to account for him. He's obviously a good quarterback. I think this is probably the best group of receivers Nebraska's faced thus far, and we know haven't allowed a completion over 20 yards to this point. This is a group that tests that. And in fact, I think it's probably essential for Michigan State, at least it has been previously this season for them, to get those big plays in the passing game, which they're capable of. So that one is, Nebraska's strength defensively has been its ability to cover. Michigan State will challenge that. And that can be in the drop back passing, or that can be Childs extending plays, which makes that a bigger challenge. So when the Spartans have the ball, I think that's the big one. Rushing wise, I know Rule said they do some similar things schematically, ideologically as Michigan. Numbers wise, the run game's fine. It's nothing to kind of write home about to this point. So comes down to those big passing plays, probably.
Our weatherman here on this radio station, Mr. Gary Sharp, let me know this morning that there's going to be a 40-mile-an-hour wind. No, not a joke. That wasn't a, but that's a legitimate, Gary let me know there's going to be a 40-mile-an-hour wind at Memorial Stadium. And using stats here, Brandon, Michigan State is 100, and let me get this correct. They're 130th in total EPA, expected points added against the pass. That means that opponents are scoring 40 more points than expected when they throw the ball, or adding 40 more points to their total. Against the run, though, Michigan State's defense is actually in the negative. They're negative 1.53 points added as a defense. Do you think that the weather, the fact that it is going to be howling wind, the fact that Memorial Stadium is in itself kind of like a wind tunnel, is going to play maybe into the advantage of Michigan State, because Nebraska is going to have a tougher time throwing the ball?
It definitely could, because, when we flip this around to when Nebraska has the football, this is a bad matchup, I think, for Michigan State for some of the reasons you mentioned. But you can go on down the line in terms of the passing numbers, and they don't look good. Specifically, Michigan State's success rate against the pass is bottom third of the country too, which we know is kind of what Nebraska has done so far. It's not the big passing plays. That's the Spartan side of things. It's just completing 75% of your passes and kind of making good throws and finding open people and moving the ball consistently. So if the wind is that strong, that has the potential to impact that a little bit. We've seen it have an impact on some of Raiola's throws already this season.
Yeah.
Though I think most of them still ended up being complete. So yeah, it does neutralize, I think, Nebraska's biggest edge, which I think is probably the biggest edge for either team in the game. Just how Nebraska moves the ball through the air and how Michigan State has struggled to defend it. The other wrinkle to this, Michigan State's like 108th, I think, in sack rate. That was a big topic during Jonathan Smith's press conference is the pass rush. So definitely had that as a lingering concern coming out of Michigan, but Spartans might not be the best test for progress Nebraska may or may not have made.
Let me go.
To your point, before Gary asked the question, you're absolutely right. 48% success rate Michigan State's defense is against the pass. That ranks 118th out of 136 teams in the country.
So let's. I'm gonna. You were talking about Childs, and Captain on the Stream is right. If you watch Michigan State, especially against USC, they tried a lot of play action. They have two really good tight ends. So they have Marsh, who is Kelly, excuse me. Marsh is the wide receiver who I agree with your assessment. This might be the best pass catchers through 5 that Nebraska's faced. But at tight end, they have Kelly, and they also have Velling, who was great against Youngstown State, but then they forgot about him. So we know in this conference, the tight end is an important position, and they like to put them one-on-one with linebackers. Specifically, after 4 games, where do you think Nebraska's linebacker play is, and what do you think that position looks like moving forward? There's some young guys, and then there's some guys that are older in the tooth. What do you 8 games down the road, what's the linebacker position look like now and then?
Yeah, I'll be real interested because I think that's one spot where you're coming off of a bye week and looking for a few additional solutions defensively, particularly against the run, where you might see someone like Dawson Merritt a little bit more than we have to this point. I think he's a great candidate for that. So it might be changing a little bit. Overall, I'd give that group, maybe a B minus, C plus. Like they haven't been. I mean, they weren't the ones that missed those tackles that, well, for the most part, kind of broke the Michigan game for Nebraska. They've been okay. Like they're not the splashiest group. I think you're still looking for difference makers to emerge there. McCullough shows it occasionally, mostly in pass rush. If that continues, you have the potential to, I think, raise the grade for that group. And you see it from Shavers too. Like you see clearly the potential is there, and he makes some really good plays that make you think, oh boy, can the future get here a little bit more quickly? But he is also still just a young player. So that group, like, I don't look at it as a deficiency for Nebraska through 4 games. But they're not a group that you notice a ton either. So it's a little bit of good with the bad.
We talk about some of these problems that Nebraska has, and I want to just preface this. This isn't for you. This is just for people listening. I think Nebraska is a good team. I think they're going to end up being over 500. I think they're going to end up winning 8 games, but they're not perfect, right? And so we talk about the issues that they had, and the buzz that we heard about Mekhi Nelson before the Cincinnati game makes me believe that that the second running back might be fixable. But I hear John Butler talk yesterday, Brandon. He goes, well, we got to disengage in blocks, and we got to beat more of these blocks. Well, you have a small D line. You have a small linebacking core. You have guys that, let's just be frank, I don't know if they really could get out of some of the blocks that Michigan was giving them. Out of the problems that Nebraska has, are you worried at all that too many might be unfixable?
Yeah, to a degree, mostly on defense. And it was interesting because, Butler talked about it yesterday. Rule on Monday talked about, look at the pass numbers. They're great.
Sure.
The run stuff is fixable. He used that term. But then to hear what Butler added to that, you talk about getting off blocks, pass rush a little bit. Those things are, okay, some of it might have been playing against Michigan, still a really talented team. But some of it is just about, like, do you have the guys that are ready to do that right now? Because it would almost be better to be like, oh yeah, we, missed 5 calls and 3 of them resulted in extra long runs for Michigan. That's fixable. But when you're talking about, yeah, our guy just didn't get off the block.
Yeah.
That's, how do you make sure he can do that the next time against a new opponent? That's kind of the challenge for Nebraska. And I think it's probably the ceiling setter to some degree for this team, because as that Michigan game has gotten further in the rear view mirror, I kind of come out of that thinking Nebraska might be pretty good. And part of what's super fascinating about October is it is a month about, can you show up and just be that, don't have a clunker. Don't make some big mistakes and get into a close game when it shouldn't be that close. And it's still tough to trust that with this Nebraska program based on where it's been.
Hey, the other day on the Monday edition of Counter Read that comes into your email box at 6 a.m. if you're a subscriber of the Substack, counterread.com, you kind of took an angle about Penn State and Nebraska after watching the Big Ten play this weekend. And I thought you were spot on. I want you to explain a little bit more, and if there's a concern this weekend of when was the last time Nebraska just didn't show up under Matt Rule. And I think we can agree that UCLA was kind of that game, but they were in it. I don't know. Indiana, I think they showed up. I think Indiana was a buzzsaw that day. But
Yeah.
the Indiana game was off a bye. USC last year was off a bye. Now, those games, Nebraska was an underdog. They're a double-figure favorite in this game. How much time should we spend talking about rule off a bye in 2025?
I think it's worth spending a little bit of time on it because you had that. I mean, Nebraska was in almost the exact same spot. You come off a home loss to Illinois, your chance to check the ranked win box finally, and you don't quite get there. Do that again this year against Michigan. Now, a difference between being an underdog against Indiana and on the road, and being a home favorite, double digit or close to it, depending on where that's at. So in some ways, I think it is kind of a good test of what we were talking about a little bit earlier. Is like, I think Nebraska's progressed. Like, now go show it, and you show that by coming out and looking like, yep, we doubled down during the bye week. We're ready to go, because that was the hope a year ago. And I agree with you, Gary. It's not. I don't think that Nebraska didn't show up or wasn't ready to go for that game. It just got away from them early.
Yeah.
And, as we've seen from Indiana, like, they can do that at times. Did it to Illinois a couple of weeks ago.
There's one quick thing here, because you threw out this nugget. Nebraska's played 9 of the last 10 roughly at or above expectation based on the spread. Does your team perform like it's capable of performing most of the time, and is the rest largely determined by chance? You believe that with Penn State?
Yeah, in the recent past. And the problem is every time Penn State comes up a little bit short, like, it's another log on the fire of, oh, Franklin can't do this, right? So it's tough. And what I wrote about on Monday is, like, Nebraska fans know this from the Pelini era, a little bit different scale, but even if you want to go back to, like, the early part of Osborne, like, that's what it was. It's like, yeah, they're undeniably good, but when are you going to be a little bit better than that and get the ultimate prize? And it's just tough. Like, watching that Oregon Penn State game Saturday night, amazing game. But as Penn State rallied and it went to overtime, I was like, oh man, if they lose this, like, we all know it's coming. And it doesn't feel fair, having watched that whole game, be like, they're not, worse. Like, you can argue about some decision making and things like that, but that's the case in any game. They're right there with Oregon, which I think is probably the best team in the Big Ten. And didn't quite get it. It feeds the narrative, I think, more than it is an accurate representation of where Penn State is at.
Yeah, great stuff. Appreciate the conversation as always. Look forward to, of course, game day on counterread.com and everything that you and Aaron do. Thank you, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That's Brandon Vogel. Brandon L. Vogel on Twitter. Counterread.com is the place to find him, where he's going to hang out with all of you. Please subscribe, become a member, and you get the extra goodies.
I did become a member. I love my extra goodies. For a guy that loves PFF and stats, Brandon Vogel has all the PFF and all the stats, so I can just drop them. I just vomit them on the show.
He's just right in your wheelhouse. All right, that'll do it for a Wednesday show. We're back in tomorrow with more on Michigan State and Nebraska. We'll share our favorite memories of the Sparty and Husker rivalry.
I don't have any favorite memories. I've been indoctrinated into pain. Tony Banks still has
Christian Peter
PTSD.
smashing a light bulb on his forehead before they went on the field at Spartan Stadium in '95.
Actually, I think the 2 Michigan State games I would consider the 2 most embarrassing losses that I've ever seen Nebraska have. So
I saw him kick the crap out of Nick Saban and Lawrence Phillips wrap up the Heisman that day, and then things changed later that night.
You guys aren't that bad. Do anything good?
All right, for Jimmy, for Matt, I'm Gary. Don't forget Whiskey Fest. Thanks to Rachel and Chaz for stopping in. That's coming up on Saturday at Hilton Omaha from 1 to 5. Hopefully we have something to celebrate tomorrow. And on to Milwaukee.
No. I'm nervous.
See you tomorrow at 6. Crossovers next.